Such a dramatic intro. What's up, guys? Welcome to State of the Game. I'm JP McDaniel. Today on the show, we've got Apollo, the world's worst troll, Todd, our native Frenchman, I guess, and QXC, our native HOTS player. What's going on, guys? How you been? Apollo, you're a terrible troll. Why don't you tell the story here so everyone knows the real truth?
All right, let me tell you. Let me just break this down for you. So, about an hour before State of the Game was gonna go live, like an hour ago from now, I message JP and I say, "Hey, I need to speak to you." And he's like, "What, bro?"
It's true.
That's what he said in the Skype chat. And so I
far.
call him, and he picks up, and I'm like, "Hey, JP, I'm just not feeling right. You know, I'm a little bit sick. I didn't sleep last night. I can't be on the show." And what you actually said, which I have recorded, were like, "What? It's an hour till the show. You shitting me? You throw me under the bus?
You're already lying.
No, that's not what you said.
No, because I was brushing my teeth at the time. And instead of actually responding to you, I just walked back to the bathroom while you were still freaking out. JP there? JP? JP there? And then I said, okay, I'll find someone else, and I hung up. 10 calls later, you finally tell me that you're trolling because you're worried that I've already found a replacement.
Shut up, JP. That's not right.
That's not right.
World's worst troll. Todd, what have you been up to, man? You live in the States now? Why did you leave? Why'd you leave France, man?
I was kind of tired of my internet, which didn't allow me to stream. I really wanted to stream a lot, so Mr. Bitter offered me to come to the Razer house for some time to kind of coach the guys that live here and just practice here and be able to stream here. And I said, okay, so I'm here for around 3 months.
Nice.
And I've been practicing a lot and streaming almost every day. Mm-hmm. That's not very true for the last few days, but other than that, yeah, I've been streaming a lot, whether it's Art of the Swarm or Wings of Liberty, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
What has the U.S. been like for you, living over here?
Practice.
Food.
There is the fridge that gives me ice and water. That's pretty amazing. I had never seen this before. We don't have those in France, I think. And then drive-through, a lot of drive-through and fast food. That's what I've been up to.
Do you like the food over here, or do you hate it?
I like it. There is a lot of good stuff. Okay. Even though I eat a lot of too much junk food, in my opinion, I think there's a lot of good stuff from various countries, and it's like very authentic too. Or maybe it's not, but even if that's like the American
being lied
version.
To, Todd. It's all a lie.
Yeah, no, really, I've been enjoying it pretty much.
Cool. Well, thanks for being on the show. QXC, what have you been up to?
I've been trying to figure out if an observer has more detection range than a photon cannon.
Only you, QXC. Only you. You've been playing in a couple tournaments recently, haven't you?
Yeah, this last weekend I was in New York for Comic-Con, well, not for Comic-Con. I was at Comic-Con for WCG US Finals, which I won, so I am going to China for WCG Grand Finals the end of November.
Do you have to pay for that trip, by the way? Just curious.
No, because I won, I get the trip and hotel and stuff paid for.
Nice. WCG stepping up, I guess. But
yeah, it's really nice because it's really expensive to go to China.
Yeah, yeah. All right, but let's go ahead and just jump into our first topic. That is, of course, going to be Heart of the Swarm. QXC, you're going to kind of lead this discussion since I think you have the most familiarity with Heart of the Swarm. So why don't you start off, and we'll just start off with your native race, Terran. What is Terran like in Heart of the Swarm? What are its cons? What are its pros?
I think Terran is largely the same. I find Battle Hellions to not be too useful. I haven't experimented that much with Battle Hellions, so it's not entirely fair for me to judge that unit. But generally, Hellions seem to be best when they're not actually taking damage because of their mobility. And mostly you're using them against Zerglings, which just melt to them anyway, Battle Hellion or not. But in battle mode, they do soak a good amount of damage, so it gives a little bit more tankiness to mech, which is kind of nice. I don't really understand where Blizzard's going with this, like, let's make Battle Hellions biological, but then they don't benefit from bio upgrades, so you're, like, building this mech army, and then you're also making medevacs, but you're only making them for your Battle Hellions, so that seems kind of strange to me. And in terms of the Widow Mines, I really don't like them right now. I think they're way too strong, and I don't like the kind of games that they tend to lead to. Like, basically you can just put down 20 or 30 of these, obviously not all at once, but that's kind of what you're aiming for, and you make this minefield, and because they latch onto observers and overseers and everything, it takes a whole lot of APM to really clear that out. So like, you make this big minefield, you set up a kind of a contain with it, and then every time your opponent tries to push out, you drop them somewhere, or you threaten a counterattack so that they never have the attention to actually deal with the minefield. And I don't know, it doesn't seem very fun to me.
I've got a video up for everyone watching right now. I don't know if they're still the same. This might have been from a patch ago, but Todd, in your experience, have you had any experience against Widow Mines? What do you think about them?
Some quite traumatizing ones. I had to play against Dragon a few times, and he really loves those Widow Mines. He just puts them everywhere. When the patch first came out, I mean, on the previous patch, I had like 120 wins and 20 losses. And then the Widow Mine patch came out, and I lost my 2 first games to Terran, basically. And they just proxied factories and sent mines in my mineral line. And I guess I wasn't very smart because I didn't read the patch log before playing. So basically the guy put some mine in my mineral line, and I let one probe blow up. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine, right? This is not worth it. And then I look 40 seconds later, and then all my probes are gone. So that was my mistake too. But yeah, that's right off the bat. I discovered how strong those new mines were. And now I think we got a lot better Protosses, that is, at dealing with them. Those proxy factories, they just can be countered with a lot of good scouting. If you know if your opponent did gas first, you just need to scout a lot for those, and you can defend with one Zealot, one Stalker, one Mothership Core. You can just attack that factory a lot and defend well against it. But the big problem I had, and actually I've just started posting on the Blizzard forums, the private ones that is, was that it was too easy to burrow a couple mines everywhere on the map and then just kind of kill units. Because even it started detecting invisible units. And if you send an observer on the map, usually as Protoss, you don't really look at it until you reach the outskirts of your enemy, your opponent's base. But now, you send your observer, and then it just disappears because it met a mine along the way, and it just blew it up. And I think it's so hard, even for a pro gamer, to pay so much attention to your observers all the time, so that they don't fly into a mine. And I posted about this on the Blizzard forum, saying that basically, if even a pro gamer, that's hard for even a pro gamer, what would it be like for somebody in the lower leagues? And that's gonna make the game too hard. And I think I got a couple of replies on this. Morrow had my back, and David Kim posted something. But they just basically announced that hallucination was going to be free. So I guess they want Protoss to start scouting a lot more with hallucination and use observers mostly for detection.
Apollo, I know you probably haven't had that much experience with HOTS just because you've been so busy casting and stuff, but with what you're hearing and what you do know about it, what do you think about it?
Dude, I really can't comment on it with a proper answer just because I haven't played it enough. I've been way too busy with Wings of Liberty.
All right. Well, I'll just
I'm sorry, JP. Like,
then. It's okay. You're fulfilling your Jeff role. It's okay. So QXC, I guess let's just jump into everything else. I mean, what type of builds have you been seeing? What have you been doing yourself? Is HOTS really as bad as everyone else is making it out to be right now?
I don't think it's not as bad. It's just not what you would expect of an expansion. Like, since they cut the Warhound, Terran is basically down to 2 new units, and let's be real, like the Battle Hellion is actually just a fire bat that can also be a Hellion.
Right.
And it's not, you're not adding any kind of new strategic stuff that we haven't seen before, at least in some part of StarCraft. And so that's like, the way I envision Heart of the Swarm is kind of like with Brood War, where you add very specific and very different and unique units that really change how we understand the game, like the Medic or Corsairs or Lurkers. And the way it feels right now is like Battle Hellions don't really change it that much. Widow Mines do. I think they totally lend a new aspect of the game. But Swarm Hosts are like layered ground Broodlords, kind of. Like they're a weird unit. I don't know. I guess they are pretty different. What do you think about the Protoss units? I don't really like the Oracle very much.
I think the Oracle is pretty cool actually, but I really don't understand why they removed Energize. That's what made the Oracle so strong in the first place. So they basically buffed Entombed a lot, and then they removed Energize. So you get, I mean, when your Oracle comes out, you need to wait for a while before you can use the first Entombed, and then you can just use two more right after that. And now I saw that on the forums, they made the Blizzard, they wrote that they don't like the way Entomb works. They want to have another spell. So I really don't understand. I think they don't seem to be able to make a choice with which way they want to exactly go and how they want the units to work exactly. Like they don't know which spell. I think they want more suggestions and stuff like that. And it kind of worries me because the game has changed a lot. I'm not very used of the betas. I didn't play the Wings of Liberty beta. I started playing the game very late. So I don't know how it went. I don't know if like every patch, basically it was a new game. But that's pretty much what I'm seeing right now in Heart of the Swarm. And it's a little bit worrying that they are changing so much and they can't seem to be able to make up their minds.
Do you feel that the game, I mean, have they stated in any of these recent patch notes how far off the game is from release? Because it feels like it's right now that with how they're testing and everything, that we're a good at least 6 or 9 months out. Would you guys agree with that?
I think there's a while before Heart of the Swarm multiplayer is really ready to be out. Especially with what Todd was saying, like they're really changing units so drastically from patch to patch. Like the Widowmine changed, obviously Warhounds were removed, removing Energize, giving the Oracle a new ability, then making the Tempest not require a fleet beacon. Like to really say whether this is going to lead to interesting gameplay and competitive gameplay, you're going to need basically like the latest version and then everyone to play it for a whole bunch of time, and it doesn't seem like they're even close to getting to that latest version right now.
Aren't there a couple of problems with that? I mean, didn't they... Oh, well, the problem what I was going to lay out is that didn't they announce that it was meant to be out in April?
I don't think they ever said any date. That seems really anti-Blizzard.
I thought I read that.
I mean, maybe you did, but I don't... Blizzard's never said anything except a release date. They've never really said...
Okay, because if that was the case, then they have X amount of time to do it, you know. But the second thing I was going to say is, are there enough people playing Heart of the Swarm to make improvements like this? Because from what I've seen, of course, there was a massive influx of players initially. It slowly died off, and to what I see, because I don't play it, I don't actually log in to play. But from what I see in terms of streaming and stuff, there's like not that many people playing, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and. I mean, we play for money. Like, this is, for pro gamers, this is our job, this is how we make income, and for most of us, there's not a whole lot of reason to be playing Heart of the Swarm, because you need to be ready for the next Wings of Liberty event.
Yeah.
And
you can compare that to, you know, StarCraft 2, the start, the Wings of Liberty. It's completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really can.
And, like, in the beginning, when Heart of the Swarm first came out, it made a lot of sense to stream. People who would normally get only 100 or 200 viewers were getting like 3,000 to 4,000, and that is an awesome opportunity. That was really cool. But then that went away once people realized like it's just like it just didn't take that long to go through everything in Heart of the Swarm. That's kind of what I felt like. Is we played it for a week or 2 weeks, and then people were like, okay, that was fun, like, but not really. Let's go back and do what actually matters.
Do you even think that we can get like adequate testing on it? Being that the pro scene, it's not that they, well, it is that they don't want to, but it's also a case that they actually just can't because of, like you said, they had to practice for all these tournaments. So, will we see kind of a Heart of the Swarm come out at retail, the same that we kind of saw Wings of Liberty come out at retail? Will it be anywhere close to the same level of balance? Just because the amount of people aren't playing it.
The way that I feel is if they continue at this rate, we're going to end up with a very strange Heart of the Swarm at release that a lot of people just aren't going to get. They're not going to understand why Blizzard came to certain decisions, because at least for me right now, some of the decisions they're making really don't make a lot of sense. Like Todd was saying, like they just change things so rapidly, and it doesn't seem like they really know what they want to do with the units. To the point where if this keeps going at this rate, like what are we going to end up with? I don't I don't really know.
Flying Hellbats.
So,
But it has to be better than the start of Wings of Liberty release. It has to be. It can't be the same. The game's too developed already because of Wings of Liberty. Just the way it's been played out.
What
It has
was
to be
bad?
better.
What was bad in Wings of Liberty at the start?
On the
I wasn't
release,
playing.
everything. The maps, the balance, there was a lot of problems with it when it first came out. It took a long time to actually iron out. But at least there's like a head start for Heart of the Swarm to make way through.
Yeah, I mean, the major nerfs through Wings of Liberty, siege tanks doing a lot less damage, stim and shields. The research cost got reduced, which made bio a lot more viable. Void Rays used to have 7 range. You used to be able to Archon toilet. Immortals got the +1 range. Pre-Igniter got nerfed. And for anyone who's been playing since release or early beta, like you can basically remember in your head there was at least a couple of games where each of those things was completely defining the meta, at least for a time until they changed it.
What was the first StarCraft 2 tournament? It was the Intel Extreme Masters, wasn't it? When Morrow won with Reapers only.
Yep.
And that was a professional
first
tournament.
official one, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's a big statement already about it. But I mean, it's got to be different for Heart of the Swarm compared to what it was then, for sure.
Well,
yeah, I mean, at the very least, you can pretty much play Heart of the Swarm like it's Wings of Liberty. Like most of the old builds work with some minor accommodations or like taking into account some of the new units and strategies.
I think that's especially true for Zerg and Terran. Like I've played a lot of Terran, they just go bio. I mean, why would they go bio plus Hellbat? I guess going bio and couple mines is okay. But I played a lot of Zergs and like they don't even bother. I played some invitational tournament earlier and I had to play against Bly and he just turtled Infestor Broodlord every game. Like he didn't even want to bother making any swarm or anything. And yeah, it still worked pretty well.
Was that the Pain User HD tournament that you played in?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Some other one.
All right.
But for Protoss, it's different because every game we gotta get to use the mothership core. So I guess for us it's better. Like we're really playing Heart of the Swarm, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Do you think that they are? Because I mean, the last couple of patches have been pretty dramatic. Are they just right now, since not too many people are playing it, are they just trying to change things up dramatically and seeing what works kind of in the public eye? Because it feels like the patches, when compared to at least Wings of Liberty, are quite dramatic. Is this the right way, I guess, to kind of test the game right now, in your opinion? We'll start off with QXC.
For me, what it feels like is Blizzard is taking the approach that this is the beta, nothing is set in stone, we're going to try a lot of different ideas, we're going to see what works, we're going to see what doesn't, and that's potentially a really cool idea, but I don't think it's backed up by enough actual physical testing. Like, you need people sitting down with every new patch and playing hundreds of games, or at least 50 or 80 games, and really seeing how the units work before you make some huge drastic change in another direction. And to me, it's not the approach so much that's wrong as it is the next step, like the lack of playtesting, the lack of in-house feedback. Like, I think this would be really cool if Blizzard was also saying to 6 to 8 pro gamers, come to California for a weekend and try this new patch.
That's true,
and
yeah.
Let's play for 4 hours, let's sit with the developers for an hour, let's get feedback, and then let's do it again, or let's make some really drastic changes, and then let's do it again, and let's do that for 3 or 4 days and really grind it out and get to a point where we're constantly getting feedback, constantly changing. We're not afraid to try new ideas, but the way it feels now is, yeah, we're not afraid to try new ideas, but we're not actually getting the kind of feedback we need to have that make sense.
Right. Todd, how active are those forums, the internal kind of pro gamer only forums? Are they pretty active?
They're pretty active, but it's only the same people posting, and I completely agree with QXC here. I think they need better feedback, Blizzard that is. It would be a lot better if they were consulting a couple of professional players, and also maybe some non-professional players, because the game needs to be balanced at every level, and I guess also in team games. It's not only just about esports. But yeah, when I go to the private forums and I see like 5 threads running about Terran by Avelo or something. I mean, I'm like, okay,
Don't bring up
maybe,
Avilo on the show, man. It didn't go well. It didn't go well.
yeah. I'm thinking like maybe these forums are not such a good idea because Blizzard, they read this and I don't know if they take into consideration like who's posting and what's their experience exactly and how much bias do they have. But if they listen to everybody, it's basically the people who will complain the most that will get the most stuff done. So it seems kind of wrong. But I think what they're doing right now on the forums is like they're waiting to read very constructive posts and good suggestions.
Right.
And if there is one of those posts and a couple pro gamers back it up, like for example, I made my post about the mines and observers, and then more came in and say, oh yeah, that's completely right, etc. If a couple professional players do that, I think it's very good because then Blizzard will really take the criticism to heart and try to do something about this. And that's what I think needs to be done, like all these Reddit threads complaining about save hard of the swarm or whatever.
We'll get to that, but yeah.
I don't think that will get us anywhere. Like we need somebody to make some very constructive criticism and very good suggestions. And if everybody agrees on that, and a lot of pro gamers, they support the first ideas that were given, I'm pretty sure that Blizzard will listen.
What do you know? What the how easy it is to gain access to that forum? Is it pretty much open to pros in general? They just have to request it, or what is the process like?
I think you have to request it. I don't know because I went to the Blizzard offices and I met with David Kim and a couple of people, so I just asked them about it and then they gave me access shortly after.
Okay.
I think if you're a professional gamer, you can just kind of request it and they will allow your accounts to post on it.
Okay. Well, we've been bashing it a little bit probably the entire time. What are they doing right, QXC? What are some of the good things that you think will be there kind of at the end of the day for Heart of the Swarm?
I like the Viper. I think
is it even being used? Like, I don't see anyone using it.
I think there are some people who use it. At the very least, it's like, for me, it's not so much important that the unit is currently being used in the meta, but that it has new and interesting and potentially very strong abilities. Because for a long time, there were a lot of units that weren't used in the Wings of Liberty meta, and then they found a place, they found a role. Like, what's most important in a new game is you need new units that don't overlap with old ones. Because you never want to be put in a position where I will never build Heart of the Swarm Unit X because Wings of Liberty Unit Y does its job better. That is the absolute worst case scenario. And to me, the Viper is so different from all the other units that the Zerg has that it must find a role somewhere eventually. Whereas something like the Battle Hellion kind of overlaps, maybe isn't so useful, and is not particularly interesting. Like, the Viper's abilities change the game in a way that nothing else can. There's no other unit in the game that allows you to decrease the range of a unit. There's no other unit in the game that allows you to pull a unit. And just because they do something so different from anything else, like the Viper seems like a really interesting unit to me.
What do you think about the Viper, Todd?
It seems pretty good. I mean, at first, I didn't know how it worked at all. I played a little bit against it, and then suddenly I was like on one of the maps, kind of stuck in a corner, and Katz was up his ramp with a whole bunch of ranged units and some Vipers, and he started abducting my units from like really far and pulling them on the high ground onto his units. Then I was like, damn, this unit is actually pretty good. I mean, it has its...
Is it 9 or?
I'm not sure, but it's like sometimes it looks like it's very short, but sometimes it looks so strong. Like they will abduct from really far. Yeah, so basically, I think it's pretty good to play like with the new Hydralisks and some Roaches and some Vipers. And I had some pretty interesting games like Xenio and Dignitas Skitter, where they really use Viper very well. And also, against Protoss, I haven't had the chance to play against Blinding Cloud, but I saw a couple of games, ZVT against Mech, where it seemed to be pretty good. But yeah, so I think the Viper is a good idea, and it's well designed, I guess well balanced so far with the very little experience I've had against it.
It is 9 range, Apollo, just to confirm that. I mean, it seems like you guys really aren't complaining, or I guess because you aren't Zerg, so you don't play the race. Obviously, you can't complain about it. But have the changes they've made to Zerg, does it seem like they're all right compared to what they've done to Terran and Toss?
Which are you? Do you have a specific change or change?
Just overall, just like Heart of the Swarmified, to make up a term that's been done to Zerg.
I still don't really feel like they've addressed Hydralisk properly, and that I'm obviously not a Zerg player, so some of the Zergs may be like, no, shut up, QXC, you don't know what you're talking about. And that might be true, but at least in TVZ, I don't feel like the Hydras have a place the way they're currently designed, and I don't think that increasing their movement speed off creep gives them that place. They basically get shut down by Bio, they get shut down by Hellions early on, they get shut down by siege tanks, like they're just too fragile. They're basically... The way I see the Hydralisk is it's a glass cannon that doesn't have the corresponding movement speed to compensate, but by the time you get Hive Tech with that movement speed increase, it's already in this point where all the armies are so big that the Hydras are dying so fast anyway. But obviously, again, I haven't had much experience, so I'm not sure about that.
I agree with you, actually, because the games I did play, when I did play Zerg and Heart of the Swarm, I found that the Hydra range, it's like you said, it's too far away to actually get it to make a difference in the game.
Is it still Hive Tech?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's something that I mean, everybody was trying to use Hydras for a long time when I watched streams and so on, and they weren't useful as QXC said because of the lack of speed. But even when you did get the added ability, it was no need for them anymore because you have other units in their place.
Yeah, and this is kind of like a general StarCraft thing. The units with really high mobility are generally most useful in low supply situations. So if both players are at 200-200, units like Mutalisks and Speedlings are much less useful because your opponent can spread their army out and put little pockets of units so that they can defend against the very fast but relatively weak units and still have a big army that's able to fight their army head-on. So basically I can leave a couple of tanks, Marines around to prevent the Mutaling backstabs, but because I'm 200-200, I still have enough units to fight the Mutaling army head-on, and so the Mutaling army isn't very useful. But when we're down to like 60 or 120 or even like 140 supply, I might not have enough to defend a backstab and also push out. With that being said, the thing that bothers me the most about the Hydra is you give it the mobility that it needs at a point in the game where everyone is maxed out. And so it doesn't really make a lot of sense in that way.
Would it be too game-changing to have the Hydra the Hydra upgrade earlier on? Would that mess things up? I don't know.
Maybe Todd would know, because I think Hydras would be more of a thing in PvZ.
I'm not sure, but I think too many people, especially Zergs, they want Hydralisk to be viable in a lot of situations, like the way they were in Brood War or something. But I think they are more of a support unit in StarCraft 2, and you will just need roaches or other stuff to tank for them, and you get like maybe 15 Hydralisks behind it. It's kind of like the Colossus, you know, if you make only Colossus, they become pretty bad if the opponent just makes a lot of anti-air, because they take so much supply. And Hydralisk, they are very good DPS. I think it's almost never something that you can mass unless you can do... Actually, you got a couple all-ins here you can do with it. That could work. We saw in Wings of Liberty with some Niduses, like very quick Hydralisk and Niduses against greedy play or Stargate opener. But yeah, I think too many people really expect that Hydralisk will be viable in every situation. Even if they are only good against Protoss and not against Terran. Maybe that's because I don't play Zerg, but that doesn't really bother me. And a lot of Zergs, they will complain that Hydralisks are too bad, and then when they lose, they're like, oh, okay, I know why I lost, I made Hydralisks. But that's not particularly really the case. It means they just use them wrong. I think they're pretty decent units. They're not the best Zerg units, but just they need to be used in a specific context.
How's PvZ going for you, Todd, in the matches that you played? You said you were 40 and what, 2 prior to the other patch? or to the newest patch? What was your record?
I'm not sure, but it's not very good. It's maybe 27 wins, 20 losses, or something like that.
Oh, okay, so now it's bad, but prior to that, you were winning a lot, right?
Yes.
So how's PvZ for you now, compared to then?
I feel it's still pretty hard, but I like that at least I have new options. I really like the Mothership Core. I like the Oracle. I'm pretty tilted that they removed Energize, but other than that, I kind of like the new PvZ more. But yeah, obviously, it's still very hard. Like I told you before, I played a tournament, some invitational, and I had to play Bly, and he basically played Wings of Liberty. I don't think he's ever practiced Heart of the Swarm. And yeah, I just lost outright. I was doing everything, Oracle, testing, doing all the new units and using them pretty well. And ultimately, I lost to the classic ball Broodlord Infestor, so that was pretty sad. And then I played against Teaja later on, and Teaja, he has a very good Heart of the Swarm build against Protoss. He goes for a couple Swarm hosts, and then to cover them, he adds some Infestors. And later on, he doesn't take to Hive ever, basically. And he just gets Corruptor to cover them. And he does those big pushes with a lot of Swarm hosts. He has the Corruptors covering for the anti-air and Colossus. And the Infestors, they don't allow me to move around very easily or attack into him. And even if you have enough to break him, you basically go into the fight. And he has an Overseer over there always. So he kills your Observer, and then how do you detect the Swarm hosts? So yeah. This build seemed pretty good. I'm sure there is a counter. I think against the Swarm host, you need to like base trade, counter attack a lot. I've been experiencing with that. Like you shouldn't fight straight up.
Yeah.
And it's going pretty well so far. So I like to play against this style more, because it's new and everything. But yeah, playing against a Zerg that just plays old school and Turtle, Infestor, Warlord, especially on the new map, there is some maps where it's really easy to do that. It feels kind of depressing on a new game, especially when you're trying the new units and they're supposed to be good. So I hope they will address this problem more, because even though it's the new shiny expansion and there is a lot of new units that Blizzard want to work on and balance, there is still a couple problems for Wings of Liberty that they haven't addressed yet.
We didn't even discuss the maps. Are the maps right now in the beta, are they decent? Because I've heard they're pretty terrible, but I want to know what you guys think. Are they QXC?
The Blizzard maps?
The maps, yeah. What are the maps
They're
like?
horrible.
Okay.
The maps.
Hold on. Well, go ahead. I'll interrupt you afterwards. So.
If you're like some guy, I don't know. If you look at Heart of the Swarm and you want one very obvious reason that it seems like Blizzard doesn't know what they're doing with Heart of the Swarm, it's the maps. 100%. There's a 2v2 map in the 1v1 pool. Like, are you kidding me? Seriously? That alone, you can just be like, obviously there's a cog loose in the Blizzard machine, because that doesn't make any sense at all. Some of the other maps, they're trying to showcase some of the new terrain features, like the collapsible rocks instead of destructible rocks.
How are those?
Which, I don't know, like, why Blizzard has a hard-on for rocks, but I'm like, so tired of them in all of my maps. Like, I'm not playing Warcraft 3. I don't want to kill neutral creeps to take my expansion.
Whoa.
I don't want destructible rocks at my 3rd, or my natural, or my 4th, or my 5th. I just don't want them on the map. Like, if an expansion is too strong that I can't take it right off the bat, make it a smaller expansion, like in Tal'Darim Altar. The original Tal'Darim Altar had a mini 3rd. It was a half 3rd. It had 4 mineral patches and 1 gas geyser.
Right.
And now, like a year and a half later, destructible rocks have been removed from that 3rd, but then it's a regular base. Like, I don't know. It really bothers me when you can look at, they're doing a lot of things. They've got the Pro Forum. They're doing a lot of rapid changes. And then you have this map pool, which is just stupid. It just doesn't make any sense. And you can be like, well, someone at Blizzard is not listening. They're not really taking into account what people are saying, because everyone's been saying that the maps are bad.
Apollo, I want to throw this to you before Todd, but rocks. I think QXC said it best. Blizzard does have a hard-on for. What is it that can be done? I mean, basically, obviously, what Blizzard's trying to do is add some type of interesting element to the map itself, which kind of changes gameplay. Is there something else that could be done besides rocks? Is that like the only answer to make these maps interesting? We saw in Brood War and that there were so many different things that these map makers were doing, but from Blizzard's point of view, is they want to make it the same thing that people see in the single player, from what I've read. So, what is the answer? Should something else be put on these maps, and what if so, what is it, Apollo?
Well, first of all, I think rocks are more of a nuisance for any player that plays the game properly than anything else. There's no reason for them to be there. They're just kind of a thing that you destroy fast and then take the base anyway, and they don't prevent you from taking the base too fast. In the initial stance. But the thing is that I think it's more of a game design problem that you can't make better maps. It's too difficult, because what actually can you throw in there to make it interesting? You can't have big spaced out maps like you can in Brood War because of the way that StarCraft 2 is played out. You need the bases tight together. I mean, for example, if a Protoss player wants to have, if the map pool wants to be more spread out, so third base is further, fourth base is further, and so on, to make it a more spread out, bigger map, how are Protoss meant to take these? You know, force fields are meant to be their unit controlling, they're meant to stop all these things, but you need to be in a confined area. For later on as well, Zerg players can't defend the way that their game design is as well, multiple different bases that are spread too far out. So they need to be clumped together, and I think that restricts a lot of any possibility to chain maps in StarCraft 2, in Wings of Liberty as well.
So we're discussing which map right now is the best. I'm trying to give some praise. Fractured Glacier. Okay, we'll take a look at that one. Todd, while I'm getting this set up, why don't you give me your thoughts on the maps, and I'll bring up what was it? Fractured Glacier here, so you can talk about it if you'd like.
Okay, first of all, I really agree with QXC. The maps are pretty bad overall. But we needed some new things, and I think the rocks are pretty good. You say you don't want to play Warcraft, but look at the Zenlaga Watchtowers. Like, this is one of the things that you didn't have in Brood War that was added and that is now accepted. Then there is this whole other debate that's like adding units that you can only make once, like the mothership, into the game. But yeah, that's another debate. So in my opinion, adding new things like that, it makes the game evolve, it keeps it interesting. I know there is a lot of Brood War purists out there, but not everybody can be satisfied, and yeah, this is a new time. Coming back to the maps, I like the rocks idea. Like, at first I didn't like it, but now I'm really curious. I think we can see some very amazing games. What comes to mind always when I think about new stuff is the Kespa players. When I see some perfectly refined builds where like they're gonna take down the rocks and lock themselves inside of their base for a while. I'm thinking mostly Protoss right now, but I'm sure for the other races that's going to be the case too. And just some very good timings and play around the rocks. Like, they damage their own rocks, they wait for someone to come in. Like the trap is set and then it becomes the standard. This kind of play, basically. And what's bad about those maps, at least for me, is that, I mean, the overlay look good and everything, but for Protoss, you need to be able to take a third, like, it shouldn't be too hard. And on most of those maps, it's very hard to take a third. On some of them, it's close to impossible. So I think they should work on this a little bit. And as far as the rocks go, it's on Aquilon Wastes, for example, it's like mostly at the third that it affects you. So like it doesn't come into consideration in the early game, but some maps have some huge flaws. Like, for example, Fractured Glacier is one of my favorite maps. But there is 2 gold bases in the middle of the map. And this can benefit anybody except Protoss. Like, I mean, I'm not going to go like a Nexus or quick third in middle with a Nexus at the gold and then just try to defend it. That's just like ridiculous. But when I play against Zergs, they can hatch first there. Terran, they can take it as a third and just PF it. So I think gold bases, they don't really belong in StarCraft because they're just so broken. Maybe if they can find a way to make them work, like make them at some base where like there is some sick rocks that you need like 10 minutes to kill, since there's this hardened for rocks. Make us some super rocks or something, or like put it on an island. But right now it's very hard for Protoss to deal with those gold bases. But other than that, Fractured Glacier is a pretty good map in my opinion. Star Station, pretty decent, I think too. The lack of a ramp or something to block on the expansion can be hard to deal with for Protoss, but at least now we got the mothership core, which really helps with the new purify and everything. So I'm satisfied about that. But yes, the 2v2 map, every time I get it, I'm like, oh my god, like wasting 15 minutes of my life playing on this.
What is the name of the 2v2 map?
It's Core Hall City.
Core Hall City? Okay, I'll take a look at it here in a sec. QXC, what were you going to say?
Oh, I just wanted to talk a little bit about gold bases.
Sure.
And gold bases, Zelnaga Towers, destructible rocks. I think Todd is right that like these are all new things that we didn't see in pretty much any other game. And they can have a place. What bothers me so much about the rocks is that it seems like Blizzard just puts them everywhere. Like there's some kind of band-aid you put on maps to make them better. And like, they have a place, I'm sure. I just don't know what it is, and I don't think Blizzard does either. But going back to gold bases, what always struck me as really strange about the gold bases is Blizzard had this habit of putting them in the place that you would want your army to be anyway. Like, on a map, when you get map control, pretty much the place you want your army to be is the middle. You want to control the center of the map, because that gives you the most control over what's happening. You can restrict your opponent while also allowing yourself as much room to breathe as possible. And where does Blizzard always put gold bases? In the center. Like, if I'm winning, I probably control the center of the map. So why do I also get a gold base in the center of the map? Like that logic doesn't make sense to me very much. If they put gold bases kind of like on dual site where they're in an obscure corner where it's like, okay, you have a gold base up here, but if you want to defend it, you have to give up map control. You have to give something up if you want to defend this base way out there. It's not like, okay, I get to sit in the middle of the map and I get extra free resources. There's some kind of trade-off. There's some kind of interesting decision-making going on there. And by and large, I don't think I've really seen that in maps that have gold bases, and so it's been better to just make them into blue bases.
Apollo, do you want to weigh in on the gold-blue mineral?
I agree with what QXC said. If you think about all the games that have been played on dual site, how many times did the gold base impact the actual outcome of the game? Very few times. I mean, maybe sometimes if it was like a proxy base or something along those lines, but that's rather a mistake from the opponent than anything that the player that took the gold base did right. So I actually like that a lot.
In terms of just Heart of the Swarm, is there anything that you guys want to cover real quick? 'Cause I think we've kind of covered most of it. The general consensus is that it's okay, it just needs more work. Is that pretty much what you guys would agree with, Todd and QXC?
I'm gonna rant for a little bit, so Todd, go ahead, please.
I'm gonna rant too.
Awesome.
Okay, go.
Actually, I think like everybody expects something very good out of Heart of the Swarm. We've played Blizzard games for a very long time, most of us, so we want to have this game that everybody's dreaming of, that's going to be amazing, that's going to be good for esports, that's going to be really fun to play, that nobody gets bored of for a very long time. And what we see right now is a little bit scary. That's why a couple people are freaking out, I think, because the game is so far from what everybody would like it to be or is expecting. But if we want to do something about this, we need to post on the Blizzard forums, I guess, and try to really do some constructive criticism. I'm not sure if posting on Reddit is the way, because I'm not sure if Blizzard pays attention to that. I hope they do. But yeah, that's just my opinion for now, that we have very high expectations and we need to find a way to work around it so that Blizzard can understand what they are and work around it as well.
QXC, your rant? That wasn't very ranty, Todd. I was expecting a lot of anger.
PG-13.
Yeah, it was
PG-13.
QXC, you better step it up here with the rant.
I think before I go into it, one thing that I want to put into perspective here, Blizzard games are so good, so important, and such a big part of the video game community that we can have a show where professional gamers and professional casters can sit around and critique them, and people will watch that. Like, we are miles ahead of a lot, almost any other game. And what Todd was saying is totally right. Heart of the Swarm scares the crap out of so many people because right now it's like throwing darts in the dark. You really don't know if you're going to hit it. You don't really see what's coming. Like it's scary to see how it's changing every day, because it doesn't seem like it's changing in a consistent, better, cooler direction. And that, in a big part, is what's spawning everything about Save Heart of the Swarm. Tell David Kim, tell Dustin Browder, tell Blizzard that what they're doing is not what we want. It's not going to end up being a good game if it keeps going like this. And all this stuff that's going on Reddit, on Twitter, posts by big people in the community like Sheth, Grubby, Katz, trying to make themselves heard, trying to get Blizzard's voice, well, not their voice, their ear, so that we can really give them the feedback that they need to make Heart of the Swarm what it should be, what we want it to be. And the most important thing there is just to get them to listen so that we can make some of these changes, like fixing the map pool, like bringing players out. I know they can afford it. Blizzard has so much money. They can afford to pick people, even if it's only from the US, fly them out for a weekend, have them play the game, and actually talk to the developers one-on-one. Because the feedback you're going to get in that environment is so much better than anything you're going to get online. And really right now what it is we have to get Blizzard to know that we think there's a problem. If enough people start talking about Heart of the Swarm, start tweeting about it, start doing anything, Blizzard will notice. It might not be now, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be next week, but as long as we keep trying and keep letting them know that things need to change, things will change. We can make Heart of the Swarm a great game. We can make it better than Wings of Liberty ever was. But I think Blizzard needs our help.
Apollo, do you have any comments on it before we jump off?
I don't even want to try follow that up. I think that just nailed it. That was just perfect. So.
All right, cool. Well, that is the discussion for Heart of the Swarm. Let's. I want to just jump in. It seems like a good transition to talking about, since you guys kind of mentioned it. Destiny's post obviously came up the other day. If you haven't seen it, I believe it's still top 25, if not top 50, over on Reddit. It spurred a ton of different conversations, ton of different debates, posts by people like Katz, Sheth, Artosis, just everyone's kind of weighing in on it. So I want to talk and bring it up here. I think everyone knows about it, so we don't have to really tell people about it too much. But Apollo, since you didn't really have that much say in the Heart of the Swarm stuff, give me your thoughts on what Destiny was saying in his post.
Well, it's a rough subject to talk about because there's so many different opinions and ways to approach it. I agree a little bit with everybody, but I think that something needs to be done to... I think the biggest point that somebody made, I'm not sure exactly which player it was, but when you log into StarCraft, right, it does feel empty. It feels like there's nobody there. It's very difficult to enjoy it. The only reason you would enjoy to play StarCraft if you were challenging yourself to play ladder. That's the only reason. For example, the way that I try to get people to play StarCraft 2 and to keep playing StarCraft 2 is I try to help them be better at playing the 1v1. There's nothing else you can actually do to make them come on. I think that the arcade is something that's a little bit untouched, not really refined, and could be better. I think it's a bit clustery. I mean, I don't even know the majority of stuff that's actually on there. I've never really took the time to do it. But I think there needs to be something more friendly. The simple stuff of chat integration, clan system, watching replays with friends, just being able to join. For example, if Idra, any big name stream, Stefano, why is it not possible for you as a spectator to join their game live? It's been done in other games. Why couldn't you go in and watch your favorite player in StarCraft 2 playing as they're playing, to watch their own vision, to have these different techniques to make it more enjoyable for the casual or non-competitive player, however you want to look at it, to join StarCraft 2, to join Battle.net, to enjoy being there. Because for me, playing other games such as Brood War and even different RTS games, there was times when I would be happy to leave the game on, like just have it loaded, and then wouldn't play, but I'd be doing other things, and then I'd be coming back in, talking to friends, come back out, do something else, come back in, oh, this guy's on, okay, let's play. And, stuff like this. You can join Dota 2, for example, and as soon as you join in, you're like, all right, this player, my friend is playing here, here, here. You can join his game, you can play with him, and all these kind of small things. Blizzard are looking at spending a lot of money on WCS, which is great, by the way, absolutely fantastic tournament, but they could take time, money into looking at these things which they may consider small. They may just consider that arcade is it. All right, guys, it's 1v1, esports, let's go. You play StarCraft, 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, but there's actually a lot more to it than just that.
Todd,
See, I didn't speak for like an hour and then I just won't stop.
No, that's good. That's good. Todd, you're part of Root, obviously. You probably knew about this before it was even going up. Did you have an opinion on it then, and is it the same that you have now, or what are your thoughts on this whole save Heart of the Swarm shenanigans?
Cat's gonna hate me for this.
It's okay. He'll get over it.
Actually, I told him from the start that this is kind of stupid, and I didn't want to post about it, just because, I mean, their intent is good. It's just the way they are doing it. In my opinion, they should just try to post on the Blizzard forums, because making this kind of stuff, posting publicly on Twitter about what they want changed, I think it's not going to impact anything in the long run. It's just kind of publicizing the way they want to say what they want to be changed. So yeah, I dissed them a little bit when they started doing this, and I wasn't going to post about it. And then I saw a couple posts that infuriated me. So I tweeted something like, Blizzard shouldn't listen to imbeciles posting on Twitter and hashtagging Heart of the Swarm or whatever, like as a joke. And I think Katz was really mad, and I understand because he tried to put some effort into this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I really feel like if they want to impact the way they want Blizzard to act on changing the game, that's not really the way to go about.
I agree actually a lot with that. I think that imagine the recent times with how vocal the community is, how vocal people can be now because of Twitter, because of Reddit. I think that's a power that is useful but may be abused sometimes. We've seen it before in other spotlights. We see it now. I mean, Save Heart the Swarm, like hashtag Save Heart the Swarm, that's negative publicity for Heart the Swarm overall, no matter which way you look at it. I mean, sure, it could help in the long run, but all the noobs, noobs that don't follow the game competitively, if they just see big posts like Heart of the Swarm's never going to work, it's a failure, we need to do something about it, they're just going to come in, read it, and be like, well, that's just great. I'm not even going to bother trying to look into it deeper, and so on. And I actually really, really agree with what Todd just said.
Yeah, I think I have to agree too. What was done, obviously, what Destiny posted, there's nothing new. There's no new statements in what he said. It was basically the collection of all the bitching that it has not been changed in StarCraft in the past 2 or 3 years in one post, and then trying to shove this at Blizzard, which they probably won't read it. They'll probably be highly fucking annoyed that a billion people are spamming their Twitter. Like, that's actually not going to solve anything. The best way to do this would probably be, like Todd said, to go on this private forum and actually give constructive feedback. I read Destiny's post, and from what I can remember, I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong here, because he is spamming me on Skype right now. But there was no new ideas, and there was no fixes into what he posted. There was like, give us this, we want this, we've wanted this, we still don't have this. Save Heart of the Swarm. That's what that post was to me. QXC, did you get anything else from it? Or do you have any different feelings on it?
I mean, it's okay. First, I want to talk about this approach versus the private forum.
Yeah.
And I feel like myself and others, one of the most notable is Grubby, have made well thought out posts that have received basically the only responses to the posts are, yes, this is a good idea, and no real response from Blizzard, no confirmation, never see things like that enter the game. And it's not just like 2 people agreeing, it's like 10 or 15 people, pro gamers, who agree with ideas that are on the private forums, well, constructive criticism ideas, and they don't make it into the game. And I think the whole thing on Twitter, on Reddit, is in response to being ignored. If the other ways were working, if Blizzard was changing the map pool, then people wouldn't have felt the need to do that. And so, to me, this is more, it's we need to get their attention, and this is the only way we know how. Maybe it's not the best way in retrospect,
It's true.
but Blizzard has noticed, and there are some people who are getting together to try and give them some actual feedback one-on-one to try and make some of the changes. I don't know how successful that's going to be, but the point of it all was to get their attention, and that seems to have worked. In terms of Destiny's post, I pretty much agree with it. I mean, it's like Apollo was saying. StarCraft 2 feels lonely, and that's kind of a problem that every 1v1 game has suffered. Quake 3, StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, like,
yeah, kind of.
People just don't like losing, and they don't like losing when they're the only person to blame. That's why games like League of Legends, Dota, Dota 2, Han, Counter-Strike, you always have someone else to blame, and you also always have friends to play with. StarCraft 2 is not like that, and so this is a little off topic, but basically what Destiny is saying is, if you want to make a 1v1 competitive game very, very popular, you need to have as much social stuff around that 1v1 environment so that people feel connected. Because people aren't going to want to play 1v1. He's right.
Yeah.
Like, the ladder is not something most people want to do. But most people, if given the opportunity, would tune in and watch Stefano ladder. They would watch Idra ladder. If there was an option to look at pro gamers who are currently playing, oh yeah, I love Idra. Join his game, get a first-person view, and a chat channel of all the other people watching him play right now. Like, hell yeah, I'd watch that. I mean, I wouldn't watch that because I don't really like watching.
Well, if Blizzard,
You know,
hold on, if Blizzard did that
man-
QXC, then they would bitch that it's not on Twitch and the players are getting basically screwed. Like, it would have to be some type of Twitch integration for the players to be all right with that. Because otherwise, streaming is just pointless. Be able to watch someone's first-person view like that actually kills live streaming.
I mean,
Does it kill it in Dota though? Like,
don't they do that in Han? Like Han and
Yeah.
League.
Well,
and
that's
Dota
because
all
most
allow
of
you to
the
do that?
well, I guess you are somewhat true with that. For the most part, the big tournaments though have commentary, so that's the draw to watch the stream though.
And
But-
also, like, there is a huge delay, like a couple minutes. And also, you can't see the first-person view. You can just observe the game. And I think a lot of people, they like to watch the first person and go through how the player is thinking, his thought process during the game, everything.
Right. But the basic idea is it's a way to bring people with like interests in StarCraft together
That's true.
in the game itself. Because there's got to be a whole ton of people who play StarCraft 2. Either they play the arcade or they play whatever, and they don't really even know what competitive play looks like. They don't know about Twitch. They don't know about all that stuff because it's just not a part of the game. If all you did was open StarCraft 2, you see like a couple of events every once in a while that maybe you click on, maybe you don't. But if there was some more integration, some more way to bring people together, that would go a long way to helping that community stay alive, I guess. If that makes sense.
Yeah, this is, I guess we're talking about the Battle.net interface a little bit. And everybody agrees that there is a lot of improvement that needs to be made. One of the things we've been asking for a long time was also having change name, because people change teams from time to time and we only have one name change. And this is really bad not to be able to change your name all the time. You just end up with like having to buy another game. It was the same story with changing server, you had to buy another game. And that was pretty annoying, and I don't think it would have been that hard to fix. And at some point, I thought that Blizzard was not really adding it just because so many people, they were just buying new games instead of buying the $10 change ID. They were buying a $40 game, so of course, it's very profitable for them. I hope that's not the case, but it might be. And just the interface for Battle.net in general needs to be improved a lot. I saw this link I just posted just now. Chef posted it on Twitter. And like there is a lot of good points about this. Like if you look at it, you will really feel like we've been going backwards as to, well, except for Facebook, I guess.
I remember seeing this on day one of Wings of Liberty coming out.
Oh, really?
yeah.
This type of comparison, or at least this one's a little bit more drawn out. But yeah, I mean, this stuff obviously needs to be put in the game, and I'm sure Blizzard, they have to be aware of this, right? There's no way they can't be.
Well, the thing is that people have been asking about this since the dawn of StarCraft 2, you know.
Right,
so
right.
I'm sure they're aware of it, but at this point, do they want to do it?
I mean, well, go ahead, QXC. I'll wait.
I would hope, like, if there was no expansion pack coming out, I would kind of understand Blizzard's like, okay, StarCraft 2 is done. We're going to move on to the next game. Maybe we'll start planning StarCraft 3. But they have Heart of the Swarm, and then a couple years later, 1 year, whatever, they have another expansion pack planned. Like, I would hope that they want to fix fundamental user interface problems with the way that people use their game. Like, this game is planning to be marketed for at least another 5-6 years, if not more. And you don't want to fix, like, admin and in chat channels, like things like that. That doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, some of the stuff reading through this, I'm trying to play like the other side play Blizzard side to create conversation, but some of it's just dumb, man. Like, why the fuck is some of this stuff not in here? Like, I don't have their opinion on it. I don't understand why it's in there. And this is the part of what Destiny's posting. It's all true. Like, replays, like, why can't we? Have they ever gave a legitimate reason why we can't? A technical reason why you can't watch those with other people, or clan support? I mean, they said something about clan about Heart of the Swarm. Did they not? Or am I completely off base with that?
That sounds reasonable. I'm not sure. As far as replay sharing, I think they said it was something about piracy, but I feel like companies use that a lot for, like, random things.
Piracy of what? Sharing replays? Oh, you got an illegal replay? Like, what?
I don't know.
I mean, obviously, I don't know, man. A lot of this stuff doesn't.
They know something's wrong. I mean, that's why they made the arcade. What the hell? Why do we have arcade? I mean, they know something's wrong, but why would you spend so much resources, time, effort in making the arcade when you could make the simple stuff work? That's the thing when I look at it and be like, well, what?
Yeah.
Am I stupid, or does that make sense? Like, why would you spend so much resources on arcade when you can fix simplistic things?
What exactly does the arcade implement? What does it do, Apollo?
Just random custom games, right?
That's all it is? So
it's just fun games left and right.
Yeah, basically. I like the arcade-ish. Because I played Warcraft 3 customs a lot and StarCraft 1 customs, and the one thing that always frustrated me a lot in those games was you could only play games that other people were hosting. So, like, let's say you just formatted your computer or you were at someone else's house and you were like, there's this really cool game, but I don't know where to find it. And so we just have to, like, wait for someone else to host it, then join and download it. So the arcade is really cool in that the maps you want are always there. The stupid thing about the arcade is if your map isn't on the first or second page, people will never, ever, ever play it. And so you end up playing, like, the same shit over and over. Like, at least to me, that's the biggest downfall of the arcade, is it just does not promote new games. It doesn't promote what people are playing. It promotes the first 10 games that people started playing, and then it just keeps promoting those. It doesn't really allow room for growth. At least in Warcraft 3, there were 25 Dota games and, like, 10 other games, but there were still 10 other games. There were still, and they could change, and they could be different, and you could play them.
I think it's sorted very poorly as well. Like, sometimes you're playing a tournament and the map pool will be like the entire GSL map pool. And there is a couple of the maps, for example, Antigua Ohana, that you will find in Create Game. But for the other ones, you can find them in the arcade. So you have to browse through so many pages until you finally can find the freaking map you want to host on and play your game, your tournament game on. And I think that's pretty stupid. I wish you could just go in arcade, type GSL, and there you would have it, all the GSL maps, all of them, without any exception, and be able to host very quickly like this, not wasting any time.
Have they ever said anything about doing, like, hosting replays or doing, like, popular games or anything like that? Wasn't that also, like, a dream from, or at least something they said at the very, very beginning of this was that they would have some sort of database like that online that they supported, or am I just making things up now?
I'm not sure I follow what you're saying.
So, like, I don't know, like a big game happens, like a GSL happens or something, and then the replay gets posted on Battle.net itself. Have they ever
Oh,
said
yeah.
anything like that?
I'm pretty sure I heard something like this too at some point, but we've just never seen it.
Yeah, yeah.
That sounds really cool, actually.
And
They should
I
do
don't.
that.
Maybe maybe they're holding back for some big fucking announcement here for Heart of the Swarm, but I don't know. Like
We're
that
gonna
does
look
not
stupid
seem.
in a couple of weeks' time, guys.
Yeah, maybe Blizzard is just trying to make us look dumb, but
Yeah, but people wouldn't say like, "Oh my God, this is so amazing" by Blizzard. They would say, "God damn, it's about time."
Yeah.
Yeah, but in kind of summation, I think everything that Destiny said in that post and everything that everyone's saying is true. It all needs to be done, but I think that was the wrong way of going about it. I think that it could have been done privately. You don't need to incite the masses to do this spam Twitter stuff because I'm pretty sure they're going to see it wherever you post it. And if it's a direct feed, like how many of QXC, Todd, I don't know about Apollo, you probably do, but you guys probably have David Kim's email, do you not? You have a direct line to someone at Blizzard that could have been easily sent.
Sure,
Yes.
but they don't always read your emails or even reply to them. Like, the thing that bothers me about what you're saying, JP, is if all this stuff is so fucking obvious that they should have already done it, why haven't they done it? Like, they know it's there.
Know.
It's like people just... Nothing has worked up into this point, so let's just do something outrageous and, like, get the public.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it happened. It's not because... I don't know. That just bothers me. It's been around for so long, and it's been ignored for so long.
Yeah, you can't argue that.
I'm curious, how do you guys think we can improve that? What does Blizzard need to do to be able to listen to the community more and improve both Battle.net and the game?
I'm sure that, I don't know, I got to think that Blizzard obviously reads Reddit. I mean, or Team Liquid, one of the two. It's two of the biggest communities in the entire scene. I honestly think what it is that the people that have the ability to put stuff into play like this are also the money holders, and I think a lot of it does come down to money. The argument against that obviously is if you put in all this stuff you're going to make more money, but they have to have some type of reason why they're not doing it that we don't know. Like, there's no other reason for none of this stuff to be in there. It might also be like a budget as well. Like maybe the StarCraft 2 team is smaller than all the other teams, and the budget isn't there to work on some of this stuff, whereas right now the team is kind of focusing on Heart of the Swarm and developing the actual balance of the game and not this other stuff. But what have they been doing the past 2 years? You know, like I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to theorize about being outside of Blizzard. You'd really need someone who knows what's going on and knows why the decisions are making. Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
QXC, here's what you're gonna quit StarCraft. You're gonna go work at Blizzard. You're gonna get a haircut. No one's gonna recognize you, and then you're gonna tell us what the fuck is going on at Blizzard HQ. Okay? I'll talk to Jason Bass. Don't worry about complexity. You'll still have a spot in the team. It'll all be good.
The thing is, though, JP, is that if it is from what you said, where the StarCraft 2 Wings Liberty team is small, which could actually, through all the reasons you listed,
well be true.
Very well be the main reason, right?
Yeah.
The Wings Liberty team is small. The focus is all on Heart of the Swarm. Then, if that's the reason, then we aren't seeing changes for a long time, because as soon as the Heart of Swarm team's done, they're going straight over to the next game. They're going straight over to the next expansion, and it will continue to stay the same.
Maybe.
I mean, from a technical standpoint, as someone who's done quite a bit of computer programming, there could be some real, like, actual limitations with the way they've coded Battle.net. Like, if they used bad coding practices or did things that aren't really flexible or adaptable, you can end up in situations where, let's say, I code the UI of Battle.net by myself, basically. I code about half of it. And then I get in a car crash and I die. Okay?
Wow.
Just stay with me.
Rest in peace.
I didn't comment any of my code. Now you have this piece of software which works, but nobody understands a damn thing about it. And you end up in a situation where it's like, in order to make these changes, we actually have to have someone go back and figure out what thousands or hundreds of thousands of lines of code mean. And because that original person or original team is no longer there, you can be in these weird situations where it's not that they need to change BattleNet. They might actually have to recode it from scratch.
That's true.
And
yeah.
like, if you want to think about the budget for something like that, it would probably be enormous. So from a technical side, from a CS side, there's just too many ways that this could have gone wrong or been done poorly to know really why it's not being done.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great point. Apollo or Todd, do you guys have anything? There's no resolution to this. I just want to make that clear to everyone watching. We actually cannot sit here. No one can sit here and say what the resolution is. So I just want to make sure that that's known. There's no one's going to flick a switch. Blizzard's not just going to be like, oh yeah, those are really good ideas. Okay, let's turn all that shit on. Let's just make all that happen tomorrow. Like, that won't happen. But we can hope that maybe they'll start working on some of this stuff. Now that their Blizzard CS is just a wasted Twitter account because it's being spammed constantly.
They do listen, though. There's a reason why the Warhound... I mean, at the time the Warhound was removed, people were complaining about it, right? They wanted the mothership back.
But they probably saw the internal test and be like, well, fuck, guys, this thing really is, like, retarded. We need to get this out of there. I'm sure the community had, like, some sort of factor into that, but at the end of the day, they look at the raw data.
You got to be kidding me that Blizzard, when they wake up and they go to work in the morning, and you tell me they don't sit with a cup of coffee and a donut reading Reddit and Team Liquid?
I'm sure that the entire esports department probably does. We'll have to talk to Rob about that. But I don't think we'll ever see anyone from Blizzard. I mean, when have they ever stepped out in any of their games and directly spoken to the community with something like this? Have they ever done that? I mean, being a part of the WoW community for so long, I don't think they ever did that, and they bitched for years for the esports side of it. Did Warcraft 3, did that ever happen, Todd?
Not really. I mean, if you knew some people, you could talk to them a little bit, but they are still being secretive. Like I said, I visited the offices recently, and I met a lot of the people there. It was just a visit of all the Blizzard offices, basically. So it wasn't focused on StarCraft 2 or like talking about balance.
Sure, you got the general tour.
I did talk a little bit with David Kim, and there is a team working on Heart of the Swarm, and they really want more feedback, is what I understood out of it. So that's why I really hope that people start posting more on the forums and giving some good insights or suggestions instead of just complaining, because that's basically all of what's being done right now. Just complaining, like we wanted that, we should have had that a long time ago. Yeah, I guess that sums it up.
Did you tell Katz and Destiny about this meeting or this talk with David Kim? Is that why they posted this? Is that what happened, Todd? Are you the person to blame?
It would have been named Save Zerg, not Save Zerg.
All right. I guess QXC, Apollo, you guys have anything else to say on this? Okay.
No, I think that's about it.
QXC, I know you had limited time. How are you doing on that time?
I've got probably time for one more topic. If we want to do that.
Okay, I was going to jump to a commercial break. Let's go ahead and jump to talking about, well, since this actually, I want to get to a lot of your thoughts on this. The MLG MVP Invitational tournament thing that they've been doing, you've been playing in it.
Yep.
Give me your thoughts on the tournament, because from my point of view, looking at it, I don't watch it day to day. I've looked at the results. I've seen the news post of X player dropping out, X player forfeits, so-and-so leaving the tournament, blah, blah, blah. What is going on with that tournament?
I mean, the biggest thing is basically some people don't have internet. It's not that their internet's not good enough, it's the routing of whatever their internet provider is not allowing them to play on Korea with actual latency or lack of network spikes that makes it a reasonable experience. From New York and also from Pittsburgh, I played my last 2 sets of matches, and I was getting maybe 250 millisecond delay, but no network spikes, which is annoying but still very playable. But in Texas, I get like 300 millisecond delay with network spikes every 2 to 3 seconds where the game would basically freeze and then catch up. One of my games was so bad, I was actually going to the drop screen every 4 to 5 seconds.
Jesus.
To the point where like I can't play like that. So I just pulled all my SCVs and I went for it and I lost. But that's really the main reason that you're seeing a lot of these people drop out. Is the latency is just so frustrating to deal with, depending on where you live, that it's not worth playing in. If you live in somewhere where it's not that bad and all you have to deal with is delay, I think it's actually really fun. It's really great. It gives us new practice partners if you, or whatever. You play so many games in it, it's like practice partners, basically. And I feel like I've learned a lot from participating. I just wish that my latency experience was not so horrible.
These are the current standings of it. I don't know if this list actually reflects people that have dropped out. QXC, maybe you can. Do you know the North American, European players that have dropped out? I know Crank has, because he had a neck injury. That was the latest one. Stefano's out. He's not listed here though, so maybe they rectified that. But like
Stefano, Idra, Crank.
Why did Greg drop out?
I think he dropped out last week for medical reasons, is what it said.
Wow, that's the new "my dog ate my homework."
Oh god, I just look at the results here. Vibe in first place right now in North America, 14 and 28. Naniwa is 24 and 18, leading Europe. MC at 19 and 23, and then the Pro League has. Why does it say TY? Is that supposed to be Flash?
No, TY is not Flash. TY is TY.
Oh, okay. Well, he's fucking destroying right now, 38 and 4.
8th team. Oh, apparently Illusion dropped out.
Wasn't Baby leading? Am I like
I don't see
going
Baby
insane
on
right now? Who's? Okay, never mind.
I thought Flash was doing well. Oh, there he is, 35 and 7. It looks like Pro League is just fucking destroying this. And I thought that MLG's goal with this tournament was to highlight the North American and European scene. Was it not? Am I wrong? Did you guys hear the same thing? I'll say that in a sec, Todd.
The way I always understood it was a way to get free trips to Kesva players in a convoluted tournament. That was kind of like what because of the way the format plays out. It's like top NA players then play other top NA players, and then top NA players play like top players, and then at the very end you're guaranteed at least like 2 Kesva players or something in the top 8. I don't know exactly how it works, but that was what I remember it being.
Todd, stop. You're being a Jeff, Todd. Just don't type. Just don't type. For fuck's sake, don't type. QXC, were you done with your statement? I apologize.
Sorry.
Yeah, we're good.
Didn't realize.
Oh, god damn it, Todd. Well, I guess, Todd, are we okay with saying that? Can I say that on air?
Yeah, I asked. He said okay.
Okay.
He said that QXC will be part of the group, actually.
So, Katz just confirmed with Todd that the Twitter/Reddit shit did work. Blizzard has agreed to meet with a team of people that Katz is putting together with Mr. Bitter to discuss the changes and voice concerns. I hope this is... I don't think it'll allow it to be streamed. That would be really awesome if it was. But we'll see when that happens. Did he give you any time frame, Todd? Did they say when?
All the info I got was in what I just
after
showed.
Heart of the Swarm is released, Blizzard will meet with these guys and they'll discuss. No, we'll see. Have to see when that is. But I guess it worked. I don't. Maybe Blizzard CS just got fucking pissed and was like, "Look, you have to talk to these fucking guys. I can't fucking do
Make
my
them
job.
Stop.
Make it stop, please." So I guess that worked. I don't know. Maybe they proved me wrong.
I'm still not 100% certain it was the right way to do it, but if it's worked, I mean, you could always argue the point, whereas they haven't listened for whatever amount of time. Yeah. Finally, something's happened, I guess. But I'm still not like as Todd brought up earlier on. I think the way that it was done may have not been the correct way.
Yeah.
But I'm happy it's done.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's got to be happy it's done. What I want to see is I want to see Destiny go in there, and I want to hear his part of the story that he talks, because that's got to be hilarious, man. They probably won't even agree to have Destiny there. I gotta say, but we'll see what comes out of that. Hopefully, Cats, and then we'll have more info from it. QXC, do you know any info of it, other than being a part of the team?
No, Cats presented it to me earlier today, so I haven't got too much more information about it.
Cool. Well, we will see what that I like what Adibc. Cats and Mr. Bitter on balance. Time for an infestor buff. Thank you, Adibc, for your comments. But back to the MLG thing. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it almost seems, and again, I don't watch the event. I'm just looking at the results. The one time I did watch it was on opening night. It didn't seem like that many people were watching it. Was this a bad idea for MLG to do? I'll just put that out there. Apollo, what do you think?
The tournament?
The tournament itself.
I love the idea of it. I love that we get Kesper players involved. I think there's parts where it is unfair. I don't know if QXC will agree on that or not, because if you think about who has to play against who, I mean, great, there has to be segments and the different leagues where they're coming from, but for Kesper players to play against North American players and so on, and then you look at the results. For anybody that just looks in, you're like, oh, wow, that's like bad. But at the same time, then you have to keep in all these, different considerations such as latency and so on. It seems like a weird way to do it, but I do like they're trying to bring in this kind of division, because this, to be honest, for me, if it will, and probably the rest of Europe will agree, I hope, otherwise I'm just making a bold statement for you guys, is that it's at a really difficult time for us to watch. It starts at like 12 to 1 a.m. There's a paywall behind it as well. Even though the paywall's more of a mental thing than anything. $10 really for this or something, right? It's more of a mental problem. But
I think the production's been great to talk on that as well. But
and then the amount of games there are because if you think about it from a European scene, if I stay up to watch the MLG, this Invitational, which I don't do, by the way, then I can't watch the GSL, because the GSL starts at 10 a.m. every day. So it's either one or the other. So the timing for a lot of European players is a little bit awkward. And then if you keep in consideration a lot of these games are during the week as well, people aren't going to stay up till God knows what time too. But I like the tournament. I think it's a cool tournament. I mean, I guess that I'm saying that without actually watching it, but the idea
of it is awesome. Like the idea of watching, and this is also, I think that idea has kind of waned off now that more Kespa players are playing in the GSL. I think, didn't last night, how many Kespa players qualified for CODES? Was it 2? Apollo, did you watch?
I did. It's like 2 or 3.
2 or 3. So, I mean, they're becoming more of a common occurrence now. So that's kind of a draw away from this event. And you don't have to pay for GSL. There are free streams. So maybe that's why people aren't talking about it. But it seems to me like there has been little to no hype outside of what MLG is producing from this event.
I don't think it's a very... Go ahead, Todd.
I think the idea is great. It's just the format that's the big problem. If you look at it, it's just so many games, like an incredible amount of games, probably the tournament with the most games I've seen like in forever. And it's very comparable to NASL. You know, NASL is a great league, but it doesn't have the viewers it should, just because it's just so many games. You can watch it any day of the week, and people take it for granted. We got StarCraft content every day, really good games between the best players that practiced a lot for it. So you have to make choices in the end. And if you watch basically every stream of MLG versus Pro League, I don't know how many days per week they air.
Monday and Friday, and it's like 5 or 6 matches each day, I think.
Okay, it's not actually that much, but I mean, even if you look at the games they stream, it will not be all of the games, and I don't know, it just feels like so many games in general. Like I look at the Liquipedia of the tournament right now, and I feel bad for the players because they had to play so many games. But I guess in the end, for the players, it might be better, because when you feel that you're a good player, you want to play as many games as possible, so you get more chances to prove how good you are and show it. But for the viewers, it's just so hard to follow. Like if you watch a tournament, you want to see every game. You don't want to miss a thing. You want to see all the epic moments, everything that happens. And it's just so hard with a tournament like this. So I think the idea was great to put MLG players versus Pro League, but maybe the format is the problem. But imagine if they had made, say, a 32 players single bracket, then we might have run the risk of having only Kespa players in the third round or something like that. So it's very difficult to pick a right format for this kind of tournament.
So I guess to kind of bend your words, are you saying that MLG bit off too much here? Is it too much for a consumer to actually consume this tournament with everything else going on right now?
Yeah, I think so.
I think even if there wasn't anything else going on right now, because everyone plays 48 games, every player, and then there's 24 players. So you're looking at like hundreds of games for a single event if you wanted to actually follow it. Most players, maybe they just want to follow, or most fans maybe just want to follow a couple of players. But even if you only wanted to follow a single player, you're still watching 48 games.
Yeah. Over the course of
Like,
what? How long is it? 6 weeks, the regular season?
Yeah, maybe 4?
4 or 6 weeks, something like that, yeah.
Something like that, yeah. But I kind of agree with Todd in that I don't think it's a format that's really hypeable. Like, it's just very anticlimactic. In most cases, you know who's going to advance out of the groups by, like, the second week. It's like watching group stages at IEM, where like you get to a point where you're like, okay, I know which player is going to advance. Like, I want to see the next stage. I'm still interested, but I don't want to see all the rest of the games. Like, I know what's going to happen. I can already see that Teaja is stomping the shit out of his group. Like, I don't need to see the rest of his games. Like, he's going to advance. And I feel like in a lot of ways you kind of get that mentality here. Like, in the NA part, maybe not so much because everyone is doing really, really bad. But, like, Naniwa is going through, and I think it was pretty clear after, like, the second week when he was doing quite well that he is very likely going to go through. Yeah. So if you really like Naniwa and you want to see all his games, that's cool. But if you're more interested in the story and the drama of will this player make it through or how's he going to do, like, it's just doesn't seem like it's really there.
And like I said, I haven't been watching the broadcast since day one, so I don't know if they are creating those storylines, because that also kind of relies on the production and the broadcast team to do that. But I guess the next day for MLG versus, or MVP MLG, whatever the fuck this tournament's called, so many acronyms, is on Friday. I think it starts off at 7 Eastern is when that goes down. I don't know the matches. They usually pick the matches the day of. At least that was what happened on Monday. Still subscriber only, so it is behind a paywall, which is unfortunate. But I'd be interested to see. Maybe I'll watch this Friday and just see what's going on, because I haven't watched it in quite some time. I know that actually I don't know what the numbers are like, so kind of a weird tournament for sure. But
I heard that you could figure out what the numbers were.
I think I think you can. If you go over to Owned, it ranks in terms of numbers, and it'll show up in between two numbers, so you can kind of have like a 400 range variance on it. But I think on opening night it was, and this is, who knows how accurate this is, but I think it was at like in between an 1,800 and a 1,600 viewer stream. And
what's it regularly? Have you tried working it out?
No, I haven't watched it since opening night, so I don't know what it is since then. Maybe someone in chat or on.
If that's the opening numbers, then that's gotta deflate down to like 1,000, maybe less.
I would think it would build, because the people watching would be like, "Oh, this is a great tournament," but I haven't seen those posts, so maybe you're right.
I guess it depends on the actual content too, but I'm sure it's not bad. So.
Adabisi is saying 2.5 concurrent early days, average is 600 concurrent right now. How much is it to buy in? $10?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I don't know. That site?
I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it.
MLG making money.
Well, I mean, who knows? Are they paying for the flights for the? Are they doing that again? Are they paying for flight and hotel for the people that take this? Okay.
I'm pretty sure top 8 gets a trip to the next MLG.
No, we have it here. First place, $10,000 plus a seed. Second, third, fourth, seed, I guess.
So they might break even on this, maybe. Unofficially, who knows the real numbers? Like, Who knows if that thing on owned is even correct? Maybe it just throws it randomly in between streams. I don't know. You can't actually do that without looking at the stats. So
Would you call it a success?
I don't. If that's only getting 600 viewers right now, I mean, I guess people bought into it at 2.5 concurrent early days. Then yeah, I guess that's a success.
Would there be a season 2? Is it that much of a success?
I think if they do another season of this, they'll have to they'll drastically revamp the tournament structure. But also, I want to say that I don't think you can classify this as a success until you get to MLG Dallas.
That's
because
true.
a big part of this tournament is going to be sending Kespa players to MLG Dallas.
Yeah.
And so if Dallas has a huge amount more people than they expected because Flash, Jaedong are playing at the event in pool play or whatever, then maybe this whole tournament was worth it, even if they didn't break even yet.
Adabisi is saying that on the Live on 3 interview with Lee that this tournament is a one-off in 2013. They don't want pay-per-view. So maybe this is kind of a last-ditch effort on the draw of Kespa players and getting the last bit of money out of that before it becomes kind of commonplace to see a Kespa player playing. I don't know. We'll have to see. I guess 2013, as always, you always have to say, well, next year is going to be crazy, and it is going to be crazy.
To be honest, I think because of the amount of saturation on StarCraft 2 content right now, I think consistency is the key. I don't think you can kind of come in with new stuff as much as you used to be able to, because there's too much. I think to be able to have a successful event, tournament, whatever, it has to be consistent. But then you weigh up the consistency against what it costs to be able to run these things.
Sure.
I don't know.
All right, well, Kevin, I know you got to go. I don't want to keep you any longer. So thank you for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. I thought we had a lot of good discussion today. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought it went well. Before you drop, let me cut to a commercial so it doesn't fuck up everything. Right after this, we're going to start talking about Slayers disbanding. Major should be coming on, but we don't have that much left to talk about, so we'll see. But replacing QXC is going to be the man of many sources, none other than Slasher. We have some exclusive news about the whole Slayers thing coming from Slasher. So when we come back, we'll find out what that is, and we'll be back with more State of the Game. Thanks for watching. See you guys in about 90 seconds. Kevin, thanks again for coming on. See you later.
Yep. Thanks, guys. See you later.
All right, guys, welcome back. The overlay is going to be a little bit messed up here, but we do have Slasher being brought in. It was a trade with Live on 3. I didn't trade them anything. They just said, we don't want Slasher. We don't want him anymore. He can come over to State of the Game. At least that's what Scoot was saying. Slasher, why don't you bring everyone up to date with what's going on with Slayers?
Hello, everybody.
Your name is not Todd, by the way. I got to fix the overlay.
I don't know what show I'm on. Am I on the wrong show right now?
Yes.
Wait, where am I? In State of the Game?
Uh-huh.
Holy shit. It's actually done really good. For first show back, I have been really entertained, especially the conversation around Battle.net, which I think is what mainly the conversation is around. It is less about the game, and when StarCraft 2 has issues, of course, but it seems like it's more about Battle.net 2.0, which I think says a lot about how far we've come. But okay, so rundown of Slayers, everything that's happened in the past 2 days. Jessica finally released, which has kind of been known a little bit. I tried putting out this story in the past few weeks, but I couldn't get enough corroborative information that I felt that was worthy enough to put out. Basically, she announced that Slayers was disbanding after the GSTL match on November 3rd against MVP, and that MMA and Alicia will be demoted to the B team, but Alicia's also being kicked off the team at the same time. I don't know how that works, but according to her, that is what is happening because of something legal which she cannot talk about or mention at this time. Ryung is practicing at home, and then you have Min Puzzle, who apparently was sick. Of course, that is not true. And a third player, I can't think of the top of my head. They will all be switching to League of Legends. Coca, the promising player who was suspended earlier in the year and then came back. All three of them have been practicing League of Legends the past few months. That is what I've learned. Also, Alicia confirmed that in the ESFI interview, that they have been playing and they will probably form a pro team to compete in the next OGN League, etc. for League of Legends. So they're heading over to League of Legends, and the rest of the members, Brown and a few other members, there's no real idea of where they're going to go next. She says that basically MMA and Crank are kind of the focal points of this entire thing. MMA issues with him and Jessica. This is all from her point of view, too. This whole article is really a big blog post from Slayer's Jessica.
It really is. Well, it's not even an article. The entire... I was, like, trying to read this shit last night, and it was, like, 40 different posts about the entire topic from Jessica, mostly. And then there were a couple ones from, I think, the StarTel coach, which was a lot of drama, and some from players, like the SFI interview that went out. But continue on. It's a fucking impossibly hard story to follow, by the way.
Yeah, I have been trying hard also, with some stuff that I found out, too. So that basically MMA and Crank are the focal points here. MMA is the main point. Dispute between MMA and her over the way the contracts and the way the team has been running over the past year led MMA to, not be too happy with it. That got him demoted to the B team. That got him sent back home. According to her, Boxer was displeased with the way MMA was acting, calling him a cancer to the team. That led MMA to respond back, and that actually caused Boxer, it seems, to quit StarCraft 2 professionally, almost, not even wanting, making him not even want to come back and to play in the future. Crank was part of this because Crank and MMA, Ryung, and Complexity's Heart are all roommates in Korea. So they all live together there, and they are all pretty, they talk to each other every single day. Crank might have been one of the first players to really speak up against Jessica and the way the team has been running and the way the players had been treated, which includes no salary. None of them received salary. And there was a clause inside of the contract that said they had to pay a percentage of their prize money. Jessica disputes that they never actually enforced that and the players never actually paid prize money. Hard to confirm if that was actually true or not.
Okay.
So now... Crank was the one that talked to MMA and Ryung because they all lived together and basically was one of the ones that helped convince MMA to take the actions that he did against Jessica and Boxer to leave the team and not to, go so well with Jessica. Crank leaves the team on her account because he felt that he was sick because of his neck injury, which is a true injury. He really does have an injury, unlike Puzzles. And then he left the team, and afterwards was streaming games and asking, you know, the whole Reddit thing came up, and then go into MLG, et cetera, et cetera. She says that he only wanted to quit because of his neck, instead ended up going to play games, and basically lied to her about why he wanted to leave.
Okay.
That is kind of the main rundown with all of the players. She accuses, there are a few other things here, is the IM coach, and Gonzi is the first big issue with the Esports Federation and their issues with her and not letting Slayers join. She kind of admits in there, which is true, that Slayers was the one who was in the best position when the ESF was first formed. First it was the SC2 con, but they didn't join because they didn't know kind of what ESF's motivations were, in her words. So they had the most amount of money with Intel and Razer as the original sponsors, but didn't elect to join. Then afterward, the Esports Federation joined and didn't elect to allow Slayers in. So she asserts that the Incredible Miracle and Gonzi was the first problem there. About Gonzi leaving Incredible Miracle to Slayers and issues between the coach of Incredible Miracle and with her. He has responded apologizing to fans, and basically she accuses him, and she accuses Gonzi of like basically going with her to accuse him of taking money from StarCraft 1 players to finance the entirety of the StarCraft 2 team. Gonzi leaving the team because he didn't think that was right. I can't find out if this is actually true or not. It seems to be common practice in Korea that coaches actually charge StarCraft 1 players for money, and that's how they make a lot of money in their gaming houses. So that seems to be a little bit disputed, but the Incredible Miracle coach at least apologized for the problems that were caused, but doesn't say anything more than that. He disputes Jessica's claims regarding his mistreatment of players and the whole Gonzi leaving signing thing. Issue 2 was that because of the Esports Federation, along the NASL Season 2 and Season 3, of course we saw what happened with Season 1, some of the Korean players, and they thought they didn't receive the same amount of treatment. So the teams all agreed to boycott NASL Season 2 and to not join the league. Slayers did not go along with that and ended up joining Season 2 and Season 3, having disputes with the StarTale coach and the ESF coach, Wong, who is the head of ESF and the head of StarTale. She says that because they did not go along with the ESF's relegations for NASL Season 2 and Season 3, the Esports Federation blocked Slayers from practice and from even speaking to their players. So she asserts none of the other teams would practice during Slayers during that time, nor even talk to their star players. And I think that was generally the recap of what happened between those guys. It was mainly around NASL and the Esports Federation not being able to allow them to practice, and that hurt them on a larger scale, and then several different disputes with almost every single player of the team, ranging from legal issues to Alicia to making Boxer quit and go to SK Telecom. The other thing here is Boxer announced he was a new head coach of SK Telecom. Right. She wanted to release all of this information to make it so that people wouldn't speculate that the reason that Slayers is dying is because he went to SKT. Now, that's all of what she said about everything. You can take it all with a grain of salt. Basically, the news that I wanted to release today was one of the main comments that she made earlier was that she was trying to get rid of MMA, kind of proving to her that she's legitimate and all the claims that she's making. And here she was trying to get rid of MMA with no transfer fees. She leaked an email between her and Victor, who is the CEO and head of Team Liquid, offering him MMA for free with no transfer fee, not signing fee, not how much they're going to have to pay MMA in salary, but just how much they're going to charge a team to take the player off of them, which is somewhat becoming more normalized in esports. If you want a player and he's a big player, we've even seen this in the past years with Counter-Strike, and more recently StarCraft 2, if you want him, you're going to have to pay a fee on top of the salary that you're going to have to pay him. The email shows that she is not lying because she did not offer any fee to Team Liquid. I can say that one team in the bidding, one team in the bidding with MMA had an offer for $90,000 as a transfer fee for MMA that she wanted, and she was unrelenting in wanting that money for the transfer fee of MMA, and that she did not come back at any time to give an offer for free. She had stood firm with $90,000 as the transfer fee for MMA. And those
90 grand is what she was asking to get rid of MVP, just to state.
MMA, yes.
Or MMA, sorry, yes.
Yeah. So those are the sources that I've gotten regarding that, and the reason that she offered Team Liquid for free is because that no one was bidding on MMA with her pretty ridiculous amount for the transfer fee. So that's why it originally came to $0 for Victor. Victor never requested MMA from Team Slayers. Okay. And already on his mind, as we saw recently, they signed C. MMA, although he says to me, would have been a great player for their team, it was not in their business plan along the way for all of this. So basically, that was just Jessica trying to dump MMA off to Team Liquid, not Team Liquid actively trying to get MMA from Slayers. So that was kind of the main thing to dispute her here. Now, that calls into legitimacy everything else that's going on in this article. I can say that also Crank and MMA, I've heard, will be doing full interviews with Korean media tomorrow.
Tomorrow is tonight, like 10 hours from now?
Yeah, and that they will try to be released either Friday before the weekend is over for us, or Monday, and I will be translating them in
You're
full.
Going to be your girlfriend's going to be translating them. What you mean?
Yes, Sophie will be translating them.
I thought you had learned Korean. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive.
So now for all the other things that are happening here, I reported that a source tells me that Axiom is going to be signing Ryung.
Yes.
And that MMA is talking to both EG and Axiom in negotiations.
Do you know who seems... is there a side that he seems to be going with right now? With your sources?
Yeah, so to me it seems like MMA would, even though he's roommates with Crank and with Ryung and really good friends with those guys, that he sees EG as his first choice. I mean, you had the Slayers and EG partnership for nearly a year. We've heard Thorzane say that he's really good friends with MMA over that extended period of time. It seems that MMA has really bonded with the players and management over that long period of partnership, and that he sees EG as a team that, although Axiom has a lot of potential here, especially with the things that Jenna and Total Biscuit can do together, which I think is very different than other teams, that EG still has the reach and the brand and the kind of marketing that I think MMA, who has been very accustomed to the foreign events in the past year, one of the first players to come over to an MLG event to play, winning Columbus, I'm pretty sure, in early 2011, he would prefer EG over Axiom. It seems like the offer was lowered for MMA initially, and that is what's caused him to kind of take more time here to feel out what he wants to do. Because MMA has not been playing well. He's not been playing well at all, and I don't know if he really deserves as high of an offer as he may have wanted to. So I think that offer had come down, and that's given him more time to think about what he wants to do.
So, another break. Fucking, what is going on in the past 2 days with all this news coming out, man? It's like, it's retarded how much drama is coming out. We'll get to what Hellspawn just tweeted in just a second.
So the other things are, Complexity, Jason Lake told me while he has talked to Alicia, nothing has been said, or nothing has been offered to him in terms of paperwork. Okay. To sign him. But Alicia does want to go to a foreign team. He told ESFI. I've talked to a few teams. None of the teams I've talked to seem like they want to put out an offer for Alicia. So maybe Complexity might be his best chance right now.
Okay. Now, I want to get everyone else to weigh in on this. Also, before we jump into this, Slasher, I have you labeled as Donkey. Do you want to speak to this at all and tell people why the Koreans call you Donkey? Was there ever a reason given?
I don't. Hey, Sophie, why am I called Donkey?
This is important breaking journalism right now.
Because I look like she said it because I look like a donkey. Now I'm pretty sure there was another. Was there another reason?
You look donkey? That is the only reason.
All right, great.
I never picture.
Thank you.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, thank you, Donkey.
Wonderful.
Apollo, Todd, do you guys want to weigh in on this? Todd, I know you probably have more that you could weigh in on, living in Korea for quite some time, so we'll let you go first. What are your thoughts on all of this shit going on with Slayers?
I think it's a shame. It was a really nice team to support and everything. And the way it came down with like all the Reddit posts, Alicia saying it was Jessica saying it was Alicia. I mean, you go on Reddit, then you see some thread, Jessica answers to Alicia. We did not ignore you. Like, it seems a little bit silly to look at it like that, but
sure.
I'm guessing it was long overdue. There was a lot of problems. And I heard a little bit about this Esports Federation and TSL and Slayers being isolated out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear about it too much because I'm not Korean. So even though I was in Korea and playing for Fnatic, I got a few echoes out of it. I heard a lot of rumors, like small stories of what might have happened. But I remember actually one day, I was told by Juani, which was our manager, that I cannot practice. I didn't hear about talking to, but I heard that I could not practice with, I think it was TSL, and I'm not sure about Slayers. And basically, after he told me that, I was so convinced that that same evening I would ask MMA for custom games. So it didn't work too well with me. But I don't know, it sounded kind of silly. I mean, why would you do something like this to a team? Like, even, I'm guessing they did this because they had disagreements with the other managers, but even if that's the case, like, why would you do this to the other players? You know, they don't deserve this. Why should they pay for the actions of the managers? So yeah, back then I thought it was really silly, and this whole esports federation thing, it seems like a very good initiative. I think we need more esports federations in esports and in StarCraft to help develop everything.
Mm-hmm.
But they just come off as this organization that basically says, you're either with us or you're against us. And if you're against us, like, we're going to make your life living hell. We're not going to practice with you, and you're going to be our enemy. So I think that's a little bit silly, and I wish we had more facts to work with so that we could form a real opinion, but I'm sure we're missing so many facts. I'm sure there is a lot of problems right now in some of the teams, and we're missing a lot of stories and facts. That's what I think.
Apollo? Yes.
Yeah, Slash has had a good go. I want to go.
Okay,
So I have a couple opinions on the subject. First of all, I'm going to just put it out there that I am very sad that Slayers disbanded. Having watched the GSL so often, them winning the GSTL was an amazing thing to watch. To watch the entire of the season, to them to win it, I think that was absolutely amazing to see. On the other side of things, I agree a little bit with Todd. Obviously, so I like Slayers, but at the same time, I almost ignore a lot of the drama around Korean stuff like this. Korean Slayers, the team disbanding, people arguing, because there is so much speculation to the actual truth. I've spoke with Juani, I've spoke with Rice as well from SK, and the thing is, though, that he basically told me at one point, is like, I just wish the foreign community would shut the fuck up, because they don't know exactly what's going on. Until you know the hard facts of what is actually happening and you hear both sides clean and out, it's very difficult to follow the story properly. And as Todd said, without all the key facts, it's very hard to have a solid opinion on it. So a lot of the time when I see stuff about this, I almost glance over it. I don't really take an active reading of it just because of these kind of stuff. So it is sad at the same time, but on the other hand, on the other side of things, like, for me, as a caster, as a playing StarCraft, I don't care to a certain extent. I'm sad, but at the same time, without knowing everything and anything, it just doesn't become irrelevant for me.
Yeah, I gotta say, if it wasn't for this show today, I would have not read any of the fucking bullshit. 'Cause first of all, it was a waste of an hour having to read all this shit. Second of all, like, it sucks that, I think this is something that everyone will say, it sucks that Slayers will no longer be a team. But that should be the end of it. I don't care about any other drama. Like, hey, Slayers is no longer a team. That should have been the news, not all of this other shit that's still coming out. But I guess that's kind of the nature of the beast, and that's kind of what our community is that we thrive on this on a day-to-day basis, and that's why I invited Slasher on here to give us his exclusive news, because I know it drives viewers and everything. But at the end of the day, it's like, fuck, man, just the team's dead. That sucks. Let's move on. Like, I hate the fact that we're obsessed with drama, but I also know that it drives numbers. So,
well,
it's a shitty situation.
I think you should separate the two things here. Jessica is the reason. Come on. I think we could all kind of agree here.
We're getting sued, guys. This is the last show of State of the Game.
That the drama is here. There was no official kind of press release, a concise statement on the team leaving and what will happen to the players, what will go on. It was a blog post, which was not even reported on the right site. It was supposed to be on This Is Game first, and it was like transferred over, and then she was replying to like 3 different things and accusing multiple players of different issues and not bringing up certain facts. So she has created this entire monstrosity, and she is with Boxer. Okay, so she's with the most famous gamer in the history of esports attached to this. And that does make it a bigger story. She's accusing basically MMA of making Boxer quit as a player. So you may not want to talk about this and think about it in that context, but she has created this monstrosity that is drama. And the other part of it is there is legitimate, actions here of what's going to happen, because now you have a lot of unsigned players who all need new teams, and that does have an effect on the real world of our business to begin with. So I think MMA has a choice to make between Axiom and EG. I think all the other players are going to try to be signed. It's not good to see 3 players switch over to League of Legends, including...
I think that's probably the biggest...
Players like Puzzle and Coco, who are Code S players, who are really good players, and they're deciding to switch over to another game. That might even speak larger volumes about the whole discussion that you guys had before.
Yeah.
About where the current StarCraft 2 scene is, especially in Korea. We've heard all the reports of how big League of Legends is. We've seen OGN and the amount of fans that they have in person, and C has said it himself on a number of occasions. So I think that is, another thing to worry here. In terms of all the other allegations, I wouldn't... Yeah, all that other stuff really isn't going to be that important. MMA and Crank will have their things to say, to shoot back at Jessica, and that'll probably go back and forth for a little while. But that part really isn't necessary. I think the Esports Federation stuff is a little bit interesting, as they can blackball an entire team like that. I think that might even speak more volumes to Kespa versus ESF.
Yeah, I believe so. I'll be your source for this, Slasher.
Yeah.
Boxer went to coach his new team to get the fuck away from all this drama. Is that accurate? Is that why he left? Like, he seems to be so distant from any of this.
Yeah. I don't know. You said before, Slasher, like, when you said something about how MMA almost stopped or did stop Boxer from playing StarCraft 2, that's like the most absurd thing I've ever heard. How does that even make sense? Like,
what was the statement that Jessica said for that?
Captain versus Jessica argument. What?
I mean,
how does that even compute?
You can say that MMA was probably the closest player to Boxer. He was dubbed the protege, the Boxer and Boxer's son, and they had, at least in the public eye, such a close relationship with each other. So when Boxer hurt his arm and was injured, I guess Jessica is asserting that after MMA called the contract, quote-unquote, a slave contract, which did not sit so well with either Boxer or Jessica. I mean, this is Jessica's team, but this is Boxer's team. Slayers is Boxer. As much as Jessica is the owner, this is the name that Boxer grew up with and the thing that he built from scratch by himself. So I guess Boxer, if he hears his star player, his boy, tell him that it is a slave contract for a team that he helped build for StarCraft 2, he might get pretty, that might hit him pretty hard in the heart to how everything has developed. And so maybe that had, it's probably the injury that had something to do with it, and then also the offer from SKT probably was pretty substantial. I mean, I can't just say he quit because
No,
because MMA hurt his feelings. In that case, he offered him a lot of money. This is probably easier. I get to coach Flash. Let's fucking go. Own some shit, and I get to be head coach in a few months.
And also, he had a lot of connection with SK before he even joined StarCraft 2 scene anyway.
Team also. KT is also. So I don't know how I can get. It is weird to read how much MMA has affected him, but it probably hurt. It probably did hurt, and I don't.
Who knows if he even said that? Like, we don't know.
Has not said anything, which also speaks volumes about this entire situation. I think really the biggest problem that people are overlooking is Slayers lost all their sponsors and got 0 new ones afterwards. She blames this manager Jay like she blames a random guy who she gave access to for social media for screwing up the entire Slayer sponsorship and business.
So
I don't think that makes any sense.
I had heard I had heard one big tournament organization and a couple of teams had at one time thought of buying Slayers. Did you hear any of this ever, Rod? Like, was that kind of what was happening when the team was basically crumbling with sponsor-wise? Was she fishing out or looking for teams to buy her team or other things to buy her team?
I think there was some discussion early on from her point to try to merge the team or to sell assets off the team to begin with. Yes. And then I think the second approach was to get rid of the players as much as possible for as much return as possible. And then it just kind of spiraled downward from there.
Well, regardless, we'll all be watching to see what fucking shenanigans come out of this whole thing. When MMA and you said it was MMA and who that are being interviewed or whatever?
MMA and Crank will be doing an interview with Ethan of This Is Game.
Okay.
That should be tomorrow. And I hear they both have a whole lot to say about Jessica.
Great.
So,
well, I'm sure we'll hear all about that.
I've to Jessica myself for any comments. I am sure I won't hear back, but
yeah, they hate you.
The biggest story of all this is the switch to LoL. That was actually the thing I was more interested in upon reading all this stuff. I was like, oh, really? Move to LoL? That was the thing that stood out to me rather than anything else that was mentioned today.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's definitely especially with kind of the state of the scene right now in StarCraft 2 and this past weekend with how big League of Legends was, to have kind of 3 of your not big names, but 3 names in your community kind of switch over. I don't know.
Have you thought about moving to LoL, Todd?
Say again?
Have you thought about moving to LoL?
No. I don't think it's my type of game. I'm not a big fan of MOBA or team games, so not really. But I can understand where they come from, even though since they were codes, it came as a shock to me that they would switch game, and still is.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it was not going so well in the house, like the ambience and everything, and they just kind of. It sounded like they were sneaking out of the house or finding excuses to go outside, and then they would go to the PC Bang to play some LoL together. It sounds so silly, and then they decided somehow to go pro on it. So maybe they just had a discussion together and decided that the League of Legends scene maybe wasn't that good, or at least that they could probably compete just by watching a couple tournaments.
Yeah.
I don't know, we don't have enough facts. Once again, I really wish somebody would interview these guys, because I'm very curious as to how this happened and what motivated them to make this choice.
What about you, Apollo? Are you going to switch to casting League of Legends to throw that back at you?
Yeah, it's already been announced before one time. Yeah, I can't wait. Can't wait for the switch.
Oh, God. I hope that it doesn't come to that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
JP, when are you going to do some hosting on League of Legends? That's the real question.
We've got that covered. Wheat is the trader that we sent over. He's going to figure everything out over there, then bring back the money once he steals it all.
It's the mule.
He's the mule, yeah. Him and Slasher can be the donkey and the mule. Let's talk about this latest news that just came out of Hellspawn's Twitter from DreamHack. We'll also talk about Bucharest this weekend.
This is about Apex?
Yes. So for those
Yes,
that are
it
unaware,
is.
Apex Esports just announced a new StarCraft division on October 6th with former OGS members Inca, Top, Vines, and Juke2, as well as the former Mal Sports player Moro. And Hellspawn just tweeted about 10 minutes ago that all Koreans in Apex have canceled their participation. So we have Xlord. So has Xlord because of the illness. Still going to be awesome. DreamHack Bucharest. What the fuck?
It's still going to be awesome, but what? I mean,
Okay.
I was thinking about this for a couple of days recently.
You've
even
known
a
about
week,
this for a couple of days?
right? Well, no, I mean, I was thought about it for a couple of days. Like, are they going to pull out last minute? Because that's been on everybody's mind. There's a new team. There's grab players, don't know where from, and they're just going to send him. And then, I can't remember what it is. I think Apex used to be a console division as well back in the day, a couple of years back or something. And they had a lot of problems, like paying players, shifting players, shipping players, you name it. They had problems. And then when they announced the StarCraft 2 team, they're like, all right, first event, we announced we're going to send 4 players that way. You know, I always had a doubt in my mind that this was going to happen. But today, I was thinking that I think they're actually going to come. It's like a day, 2 days before the event. I'm like, it's going to happen. And then Hellspawn tweets that.
Yeah.
My mic's not muted. I just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So I talked to Apex a few hours ago, and I learned this info. I confirmed with Hellspawn. Basically, Apex says that there are some issues with management right now. They do not have an official statement for me, but that this will not affect the players for future flights.
What?
And that is all that I got out of
What the
that.
fuck kind of statement is that? Like,
So they have no real comment on what happened. I've learned that there are some issues with management in Apex currently, but they say that if the players will be fine for the next events that they go on. And that's all that I got out of that. I mean, you should have seen this coming.
Yeah.
Honestly.
well, Apex, what wasn't it a console league and they like fucked over some console players or Halo players or something once upon a time? Didn't that happen?
Yeah, I read about this too.
Wasn't there
Well, I
like
guess they
Reddit
will be
drama
fine.
from this?
Call of
They
Duty
will
and
be fine
Halo.
for the next event because they will be teamless again. I don't know how players keep falling for these teams that kind of rip off players. I mean, I don't know anything about the situation exactly, but just that's the first impression and the feeling I'm getting from this team. And it would be nice if those would be more publicized in a bad way. I mean, like if people would call out more those teams, then we will know exactly who's full of it and who's not, and who to trust, which team to join. Because this keeps happening, and it's really annoying, especially for tournament organizers. I mean, they counted these guys in. They had a couple Koreans, and now last minute they say they can't go.
Well, I'm sure what happened is, I mean, Jenna came out about a week or two ago and just said that like the chance at salary or the promise of salary is kind of unheard of on a lot of these Korean teams. So I'm sure that Inca Vines, Juke2, and Top were all offered some sort of salary and the illusion of money to be able to. Cause I mean, why else would they join a fucking no-name team into StarCraft 2? So it sucks that they got screwed. But Todd, if you were offered money and you were never ever earning money in the first place, would you take it?
Say
yes.
What?
Yeah, it's just
your answer is yes. It doesn't matter what the question is. It doesn't matter what the question is.
The question was, did Four Kings ever pay you?
Wow. Actually, much less than you would think. But yeah, I mean, when you play for a team in Korea, and most of them don't have salaries. I mean, they just provide housing and food and stuff. For a player to be offered like even $300 or a couple $100, like you have to accept that. It's very easy to accept. Most of the players, they feel like if they play at home, they would just play the same as if they do in the practice house. So why should they refuse this kind of salary? So these teams, what they do, they offer them a couple hundred salaries. And the players, they say yes. But I think they're just trying to get those players on their team, get it publicized, and get them to play a couple tournaments. And then in the end, they don't really send them to tournaments, or they will send them to 1 or 2 tournaments. And they're just trying to exploit them. That's what I feel. Even though, like I said,
probably true.
These guys have not been in a team for a long time, right? You know, Inca, Top, left when OGS disbanded. Who else? Moro has not been with the team for a long time either. It's very sad, actually. It's very sad. And I think, without being in the team, I wonder why they hadn't joined a Korean team. And that's something that would be in my mind.
Well, fuck, would you join a Korean team with all this shit coming out of Slayers? Like,
I don't know. There's some small low-key teams they could have joined, but I don't know why that hasn't happened. So I think with that not happening, and then on top of that being offered money from a foreign team, which seems to be the thing to have in the foreign team as a Korean StarCraft 2 player. So
yeah,
they got stuck in, and kind of sucks.
So I guess that means that Korean-wise, we have Rain, we have the STC, and we have Sleep, and we have Sage going, and that's it.
Yeah,
that looks like it's it here on the list. The strongest out of those, Apollo, correct me if I'm wrong, would be Sage?
STC.
STC, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the rest of the tournament? Kind of to preview this event, who are some of the big names people should be paying attention to?
For me, I actually looked over the tournament today, and I looked through all the players. I've been doing a bit of research on them. I think there's a couple of names. The thing that's going to make this tournament really interesting is it's going to be very unpredictable to know what's going to happen. I think big names that are probably going to look for a finalist position is going to be like Nurtio. I think Nurtio is going to go distance. The STC is going to go really, really far as well. And then you've got a lot of other good players too. Like Elfie's been performing really well recently. Nighten's been performing really well recently. TLO and Rhett have been doing good as well. Teaja did good.
How is TLO going to do, you think, this event?
That's all right. So before the tournament that happened last week, which was the ASUS Invitational, I actually went out there and be like, all right, TLO, you're going out in the group stage. I don't see anything that can hold you on. And that was just because I've been seeing his results recently, his gameplay in tournaments. And then I was very, very surprised when Lucifron actually came out in an interview and said, they asked him, who's going to go through as #1 in Group B, and he just went out TLO. He's like, I got 100% confidence TLO's going through as first place, and this is over, a lot of good players within that group, and that says a lot. TLO is currently like ranked top 3. I don't know which one he is in Grandmaster at the moment, but going into it, there's a lot of pressure, especially after performance like last weekend. And I mean, if anybody's going to be able to nail that correctly, it's going to be Todd. Coming back from inactivity and not really playing in many tournaments to do well at a tournament, and then everybody's expecting a lot from you here.
I agree with you. I was really surprised as well to hear from Lucifron that TLO will top the group, and then he did it just as predicted. But yeah, in the list, we didn't mention Naniwa.
Naniwa's not going, that's why.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait,
where do
did
you see the list?
It was on the
wait, really not?
list.
Yeah, that's been, I'm pretty sure that's been public for a while.
Okay, where do you see the updated list?
I have no idea. I just know he wasn't going.
Okay.
I think it was after he lost versus Nurtio that time, like a week ago, or a week and a half ago. He lost like 5-0 or something. He just pulled out his tournament for this one.
Okay, but Nana will be going after staying in Korea for some time, so that will be interesting to follow.
That's a good
He did
point.
not play this well at the GD Invitational, but I mean, when you practice for this long in Korea, it has got to show after some time. So I'm really hoping that in this tournament it will.
That's true. Apollo, do you know what time this starts on Saturday?
Like 10 or 11 a.m. local time, which is like +2 in Europe. So I think English time 9, European normal time like 10, and then 11. So I don't know what that translates over to.
I think it's like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, and it starts at the same time each day.
All right, we'll look forward to that. Should be a pretty fun tournament, regardless of the Koreans dropping out. A lot of big names in there, obviously. If you want more information, you can go over to, what is it, dreamhack.ro? Is that the...
It's usually dreamhack.se, but I think their site's down at the moment for the eyes will open, so a lot of the info is at dreamhack.ro.
I just want to add to this that I think everyone should get together, and just like in Spain, and they supported Lucifron and Vortex, everyone should get together and support Death Angel this weekend, because I know that is what the community will do to support, the home country, right?
No.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm.
We'll see. We'll see. And with that terrible comment, Slasher, we're going to let you go. We are going to be bringing on Major here. Fuck it, we'll just do this all live. So Slasher, thank you for Exactly, Todd. Thank you for coming on. You'll be on live on 3 on Sunday. You guys are doing a show?
Yeah, doing a special show. Wheat was fucking sick on Wednesday because he sucks. So I should have updates from MMA and Ryung if you like all that shit by then.
Okay, so more drama on what time is that going live? Do you know? Do you guys have it?
Probably 4 Eastern, 4 or 5 Eastern.
4 Eastern, 10 CET. Same time as the show. State of the Game went live today. So.
European normal time is 10.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, Slash. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, time for the fucking overlays to go completely crazy here as we bring in. Actually, I'm just gonna cut to. Let's cut to this, and I'll get in Juan. He doesn't have a webcam because he's poor, is what he told me. So that sucks.
He has a sick picture.
He does have a pretty sick picture here. Let's get him in the call. Last couple of things we're going to be talking about is, of course, WCS. I do want to talk about GSL. We've got the finals coming up tomorrow night. Apollo just fucking left. What the
PM.
Where'd he go? Hello, Juan. How's it going?
Not bad. Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Why don't you have a webcam, bro?
I'm poor.
Fair enough. All right, I don't know where Apollo just went to.
It's a mystery.
He thought he could just fucking leave. But since we have you here, Juan, I know you're a big... what's the best, most delicate way? You copy MVP and watch his builds a lot. What did you think of his match versus Rain? Probably one of the biggest matches I think that we've seen in quite some time in StarCraft 2. What did you think of his GSL match?
Against Rain in the semifinals? I think he played really good. Like, he did the exact build orders he should do in the exact time he should do it. And I don't know, I just think he played like brilliant. And Rain is actually a really good player against Terran. And he's like the only Terran that has beat him in like an official match. So it was pretty nice to watch that because he looked unbeatable at that point.
Kind of to talk about Rain some, Todd, what did you think of Rain's play? And what do you just think of Rain in general right now? He seems pretty fucking unstoppable, unless you're MVP.
Oh, yeah. He's like amazing. I mean, he's maybe my new favorite player. I've been watching a lot of his games. I did not actually get to watch his games against MVP yet. I was sleeping, and I never really got around watching the VODs. I'm having a hard time watching the VODs of Protoss losing, but I guess he still won some games, so I will do that later. But his games against Hero, are you kidding me? Like, Rain has just been playing. I mean, he's not been playing a very short time. He's played a couple months maybe. But Hero has been playing since the start of the game. And Rain made Hero look like a scrub. With like perfect composition in the late game. So I don't know if or how much metagame there was involved in that, with like Hero not knowing Rain's style at all. But I just know that Hero is a monster in late game. I got to practice with him before his GSL matches sometimes when I was in Korea. And then basically Rain just picked him apart. They showed the production tab at the end, I mean the units tab, and it was like 10 Colossus, 10 Immortal, perfect mix of Archons, Zealots. So I was amazed. I was basically amazed that somebody who's been playing the game for a shorter time than somebody, one of the best Protoss, Hero, can just pick him apart like this and just teach him, well, this is how you play PvP late game. I was really shocked, and I really enjoyed it, even though I really like Hero. I think he's a good player. Maybe it wasn't his best games. Rain is nothing short of amazing, and I really recommend to every Protoss out there to watch his games and really try to see the depth in his builds and how much refined they are and how well thought everything is when he plays, because it's just so smooth and perfect.
Now, I'm by no means an expert player nor commentator, but I did catch the Entombed Valley game, and it felt like that was the first game of the series. Correct me if I'm wrong, Todd. The final engagement, like, the game was very fucking, it was long, kind of boring. And then Rain was just like, you know what? I'm actually just going to kill you now. Hero had all of his units clumped. Rain fucking had this perfect arc. It was like, it was one of the best. And it was just, it's so simple just to split and spread your fucking Colossus out. But he did it so fucking perfectly. And Hero just got shit on. Like, it was completely one-sided. It was such a one-sided fight. And then the game just ends like, it was basically waiting 20 minutes for Rain to just say, like, I'm okay. Let's just go on to map 2. I'm tired. I'm bored. That's what it felt like. It was absolutely insane to watch him play against Hero. Apollo, what are your thoughts on Rain?
He's absolutely fantastic. His games against MVP were spectacular. I mean, his games in the OSL as well. Just everything about him so crisp, clean, decisions, the small little details he does to pull an edge, whether it be pulling someone out of position, whether it be just, grabbing a little advantage where he can. It is beautiful to see. He's very dedicated to doing well in StarCraft 2 from what I've read. And it's showing. He's playing absolutely incredible. MVP, though, I mean, if you want to talk about that semi-final there, is
MVP versus Rain.
MVP, okay, so going into that series, I'm pretty sure that everybody was like, all right, Rain, it's going to the finals. It's going to both finals. The thing is that MVP just pulled out the sickest games ever. Like, you think that he's going to lose, you start to doubt him, and then that happens, and it's absolutely incredible. So, really, really impressive play from him. What the fuck are you doing, Semler? Go away! What the fuck? I got like a drunk American in here, man.
Oh, I know how that is.
God damn it!
He's probably trying to do me a favor and fix your webcam, but I'm just fixing it myself.
God damn it! All right, where was I? So he's like interrupting me. All right, so MVP played like the sickest games, like really, really impressive. His timings were incredible. He kept on doing things that you wouldn't have expected him to do, and I was really impressed with his play. But Rain, on the other hand, he has been, like Todd said, the Protoss player to watch.
Let's talk about. Hold on. When is the OSL finals happening? Is that next week?
It's on the 27th, yeah, I think.
Okay, so we still got a while. Let's talk a little bit about the GSL finals. They're going down Saturday morning at 2 Eastern, I believe. That's 9. You guys actually get kind of screwed, too, over in Europe. It was kind of shitty timing for both. But MVP versus Life will be the final. Does MVP just win that, Apollo?
MVP versus Life?
Yeah.
The thing is that I think that Life could win it, Just the way he played, the way he's been making Terrans look so bad recently. He's just exploiting every single weakness they have. For example, if you don't open up mobile initially, he'll have creep on your front door. And that's something that we saw adjusted from Teaja. So Teaja opened up Medivacs, and then he just abused Mutalisks and so on. So it's just like a complete twist around. He was making he's making you look bad. Even though Teja's a fantastic player, Life just seemed incredible, but I don't know if he can. I don't want to doubt MVP again. MVP.
You can't.
I think everybody doubted him against Rain, and then he made everyone look stupid. And I think that could be the same again.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Todd.
It was very close against Rain, but the thing is, I watched live against Teaja. Usually, I don't watch that many games where there is no Protoss involved, but I did watch that. Mm-hmm. And even though live played really well and won very convincingly, I felt like his style was a bit repetitive. And MVP is really the guy who can exploit that. If there is somebody who has a very good style against Terran, he's the one who's going to analyze it in depth and be able to come out with the keys to basically win against it. And I think we should let Major speak about this because he's the MVP expert.
Yeah. Major, please.
Well,
MVP
what
versus
will
Life.
happen?
I was going to say that. I think MVP is going to be win 4-2 just because MVP is really, really, really smart when it comes to preparing to games. I seen him completely change his style just for one player, or he can play like anything. He can play mech, he can play marine tank, he can do like Turax, he can do anything you want. And the problem it was Live versus Teaja. Live, I've been saying this a lot. I kind of think making speed links it's really, really good against Terran. Like Live does. Try to run by, try to abuse Terran, because Terran is you need to do something to stop that, right? You need to have bunkers or be behind the depots with the Hellions and stuff like that. And Life abused that, but Teaja played really greedy in all 3 games. He played really, really greedy. For example, in game 1, he just moved out with 2 medevacs and a bunch of marines, but he never scouted if there was a third or not, and there was no third, so that means it's a Baneling bust. And he just got rolled because of that. So, and MVP doesn't make that kind of mistakes. He's like a really, really smart player. So, I think MVP's going to win 4-2, but Life is like a really good Zerg. It's a different style than most Zergs, but I kind of like it. So that's my take.
Apollo, you want to give a prediction for the score?
I think it's going to be close either way. I think MVP, as Major said, does have an edge in the longer games and preparing for games. But I don't know. Do you reckon experience can come into factor at the finals like that when Life hasn't had that much experience?
Absolutely.
I don't know. I mean, you know, MVP's done it. He's won it 4 times. It's his 5th final, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm going to have to give the edge to MVP, whether it be a 4-2, 4-3. I think it's going to be relatively close, that's for sure.
Todd, even though your race is not represented, do you want to give a prediction?
Yeah, like Apollo said, from one perspective, you have all the experience that MVP has acquired by playing GSL and winning it so many times, or going this far so many times. And then you look at Life. He's 14, but you see him on camera. He's never nervous. He never flinches. He just plays really well every single time. He doesn't look impressed at all. So, I mean, I don't know how much the nervousness is going to affect them, but in the end, I don't think it's going to be such a deciding factor in this series. Then again, I could be totally wrong, and Life could crumble down under the pressure. But yeah, in my opinion, MVP has the advantage here, and it's very hard to give a prediction. I mean, it could be from 4-1 to 4-3. I doubt it will be a sweep. But yeah, both my head and my heart are saying MVP is going to win.
Exactly.
Sorry, I was getting a message on Skype. All right, well, check that out. It'll be going on, like I said, Saturday morning at 2 a.m. Eastern, I believe, 9 CEST, I think is the time zone switch. Let's talk about WCS. This past weekend, we had WCS Asia go down. Rain, of course, ended up taking that. Not really the biggest surprise there. It was basically battle of the Protosses for, I think, the final 4. Todd, did you catch all those?
I watched a few of the games, not all of them, and yeah, I was very impressed by Rain once more. I wasn't surprised because I don't know what the English term is, but it's like kind of the rise to power, you know? He's just been powering through and becoming super good very quickly, and it just looked like it's not stopping. Like, he keeps improving very quickly and until he's rising to the very top of StarCraft 2. So that's what concluded this tournament, him winning. And yeah, his PvP was super solid. I mean, like I said before, when he played against Zero, he was super convincing and he made look the late game PvP super easy for him. So I wasn't surprised that he won that many games against Protoss. I'm actually not sure if this guy has a weak matchup. I mean, I've seen him, maybe Zerg would be his weakest, but he's still super good against Zerg. I saw his games against Vibe from the MLG MVP tournament. So I'm really hoping this guy will be sent to a lot of tournaments and we get to see more of him. So that's talking about Rain, but talking about the tournament, it's a good tournament, and like a lot of people said before, it didn't get the hype he deserved. And I'm not sure why that is. Maybe too much StarCraft content, maybe not enough advertising. There was really good casters. There was Artosis down there, but the quality of the stream wasn't great. I'm guessing because of the internet connections down there, and that's a big problem. Now we've become really an elitist community, as we really want the high quality stream for every tournament, and even with sick players like there was at the WCS Asia, if the stream quality is a little bit of a lackluster, it becomes harder to watch it because we're used of such high quality. And also,
wasn't the end game fine? I thought the end game was fine.
No, they were lagging.
Oh, okay, it was lagging. Gotcha. All right, sorry. Continue on, Todd.
Oh yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, okay.
Didn't Rain won with only dropping 1 map against Hero Join, if I'm not correct? I think he won like 12-1 in the tournament, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Rain's just
insane. It was just 1 map he lost, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think he lost to Hero Join. I think.
Yeah. And especially in a tournament full of PvPs, you know, you'd expect
just constant.
at least a map to be dropped there.
So this sets up the final players. I think they were already set up prior to this tournament, but we now have the list of everyone playing in the WCG or WCS Finals. Woo! Too many fucking acronyms. And the list has a total of 4 Terrans. None of them
nice.
do what?
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, so what do you think about this, Major, being one of these Terrans on here? No Korean Terrans as well. Yourself, Lucifron, Illusion, and Phoenix.
They all died to Protoss. Like, all the Terrans died to Protoss in Korea. So no one advanced to the Asia finals. So it's understandable. Like, you look at the WCS Asia, and you look at the Terrans, you're like, there's no way in hell they're going to advance. It's impossible. So I'll use all the Koreans. There were Protoss and two Zerg, and they all advanced. So good job, I guess.
What do you think your chances are, Major? In all honesty, how do you see yourself doing in this event?
I'm pretty troubled, to be honest. I mean, I've been playing a lot, but hopefully I can do something. I've been playing actually a lot, but I'm just troubled, man. I need to practice more.
What do you think, Apollo? I mean, what do you think of this list that we have here?
Excuse me. I wish there were more Terrans. 4 Terrans in a field of 15 Zergs.
Yeah.
And 13 Protoss.
Well,
there's going to be a lot of different jumps that Terran players have to make. It's going to be very, very difficult. And I think towards the end of the tournament, we could be seeing Protoss Zerg games again. And even looking at the amount of Zerg players there's a lot of good Zerg players there, but there are a lot of better Korean Protoss players again. So I think that the tournament could be Protoss heavy towards the later stages.
I think so too.
How did MVP, where's MVP in here? Or any other big name Korean Terrans?
He lost in round 1.
Yeah.
I don't remember against who. Then he went to IM and he forfeited loser bracket. That's why.
Okay. Well, the list is pretty fucking incredible, I gotta say, for a tournament here. Todd, what do you think about the overall player list, and who do you think's gonna go far? Because no one can fucking predict who's gonna win, unless you say Rain. That might be kind of accurate.
I know who's gonna win.
Oh yeah.
Who's that?
Do you?
Roro is gonna win.
Oh yeah.
I hope so.
Yes.
For me, WCS World Finals is basically going to be Protoss versus Zerg, the ultimate clash.
Yeah.
Because there is mostly Protoss and Zergs, and I've been debating a lot about this, especially with Kaldor, and we actually have this bet. I bet him that a Zerg would win, and he bet me that a Protoss would win. And I guess he kind of has the advantage just because of all these quality Protosses there is. There is 5 Korean Protosses, then there's a couple of very good European ones. And basically, with Heart of the Swarm on the way, I don't know how long Wings of Liberty is going to be the game played, but this is going to be one of the biggest tournaments that is going to be remembered, where we're going to remember which race won and whatever comes with it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing all those PVZs with a couple of the Terrans in between. I'm sorry, Major, you have a lot of work ahead of you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the lineup is a little bit imbalanced, maybe because of the 5 Korean Protosses, but we still have Roro, Curious, Nerdcho, and all Scarlet. Scarlet's very impressive. Finally, we're going to see her take on.
That's going to be an awesome storyline for the tournament, I think.
Yeah. There's a lot of
storylines. Finally get to see
storylines.
Scarlet play top players in the world instead of people from Canada or people from the US to not be a dick.
Stefano also will be there.
Yeah. Unless he fucking touches another 14-year-old or some shit, who knows? But we'll see. Trying to look at some of these other names here. Suppy, of course, replacing Ostoji. Not the biggest.
Don't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter too much. We get to follow, of course, Lucifron and Vortex. We'll see how they do. That'll definitely be awesome to see it. I think that this tournament is actually, player-wise, I think it captures everyone that's on a stride right now, except for MVP. That's the only player I wish was in here somehow. Maybe someone can drop and he can just replace them for some reason.
There's a lot of good Terrans from Kespa that have been coming up, but they don't get too much attention because, they're from StarCraft 1. But for example, Bogus yesterday, he's like, I've been told he's like the best Terran actually playing the game right now.
Wait, was he the really cheesy one yesterday in GSO?
He beat Happy to one. No, he's the solid one.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I was thinking of the STX or Terran, I think.
Yeah,
I
he
was
does
told
check.
a long time ago that Bogus was like one of the best Kesper players. Like away from the GSL, away from all the
Yeah.
tournaments that are public eyes. I was told like maybe a month ago, maybe more, like 6 weeks, 2 months, that he was like the best Kesper player. Even though he hadn't shown it, and I think maybe in the OSL tournament where he tried to qualify, I don't think he qualified as well as he was playing at the time. But
No.
on ladder, he was like #1 GM. He
He
was
is number
winning
one,
like
yeah.
everything. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're done. I do have one last thing. Mr. Bitter's going to come on the show real quick and give a statement, which you guys have no
Nice.
idea what's happening, but we'll bring him on the show real quick, and that's going to wrap it up. So let me get set up. We'll go to a brief commercial break, and then we'll close out the show with shout-outs and everything. Be right back, guys. Don't go anywhere.
We.
Exactly. Exactly. Almost ready here, guys. Just trying to get Ben connected, but he fucking sucks at Skype. No, I don't want to record a voice message, Ben. Oh my God, Ben. All right, guys, welcome back. Had some issues here, so we're not going to be able to show any webcams. I'll be bringing on the other guys real quick, but Mr. Bitter, I know you have something to say. So
Man.
the floor is yours.
Yeah, I don't know what information you were given or where it came from, but there was apparently a bit of a miscommunication somewhere in the machine. Yes, I talk to Blizzard on a pretty regular basis. I talk to them almost every day, and yes, Blizzard has agreed to hear me out, or basically anybody in the community out, on any issues we bring to them. But there's not like this sort of concerted effort to sit down and have a huge conference with them. What happened was, with all of this Save Hot stuff coming up, I reached out to Blizzard. I said, hey guys, if I were to put together a lot of stuff, a bunch of opinions from prominent people in the community, would you look it over? Would you hear it out? And they said, yeah, of course, absolutely. So I reached out to some guys to start doing just that, collecting information. And I think from there it was maybe blown a little bit out of proportion. There's not an Esports Congress happening. Blizzard's not, we're not going to meet with Browder and David Kim tomorrow. It's nothing like that. It's just, there's a lot of really, really super passionate people in the community that love the game and love the industry and want to continue to see it grow. And Blizzard, guys, believe it or not, feels the exact same way. In fact, their exact words to me after they saw the Reddit post was, man, you need to make sure people realize that we're arm in arm with you guys. We want to grow this thing too. We care a lot about it. It's just important that we all realize the size and scope of what we're talking about. Things don't happen overnight. So there's definitely open communication between the community and Blizzard, and there are a lot of avenues for professional players and prominent people in esports to reach out to Blizzard. And probably the best is the pro forum that they've set up. And that's kind of what it boils down to. This is not the sky is not falling or anything like that. I don't really know how it got so blown up, but that's sort of the state of things.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for coming on for saying that. You guys doing NASL tonight? It's Thursday, right? You guys are.
Of course, we go live in about 2.5 hours.
All right, cool. Well, thank you for coming on and kind of clarifying things. Hopefully that thread on Reddit dies down. Ben, I'm going to let you go and bring the other guys back here so we can close out the show.
Thanks, JP. Keep up all you do.
All right, thank you very much, Ben. We'll see you.
Later, buddy.
All right, so there you go. A little bit of confusion on oh, Jesus Christ. I just added 16 people to the call on everyone else's end. Welcome back, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for kicking us off, mate.
No problem. Shit was all fucked up. We had to...
Very bad manner.
I thought it was over. I was going to go get some food and just leave it.
No. But that's the end of the show. So I'm glad you guys were able
Thanks
to
for inviting us back towards the end of the show, JP.
There's nothing really else to talk about. We could kind of mention the Stefano situation, but I think that's over with. He fucked up. He said something on a stream which he shouldn't have. He got... was the term suspended? What was the term they use?
Yeah, suspended.
So basically he gets to go to Korea, not stream, not make any money, and actually get better, I guess.
He's streaming and making money.
Oh, so yeah. So what the fuck is the suspension?
Hey, don't play tournaments. That's it.
Yeah.
I guess.
They stopped him going to...
And he's not getting paid for that much, right?
Two of our tournaments they stopped him going to. It's the Aces tournament and also DreamHack, which, if you think about it, could have been a lot of money, which is why he's streaming to make that money back.
Oh, I'm sure I guarantee you that the tournaments are more pissed off that Stefano won't be there than Stefano is more pissed off that he won't be there. Which sucks, but I guess it had to be done, I guess.
It had to be done, man.
Because people are retarded and they email sponsors. Let's close out the show here. Apollo, shoutouts. What are you doing this weekend? What's going on?
I'm doing DreamHack Bucharest. I'm traveling to Romania tomorrow with ADBC. I'm going to be doing that the entire of the weekend. It's going to be a great tournament. And then apart from that, make sure you do tune in, of course, just the regular Twitter, which is just below me somewhere. And then the YouTube channel, which I've been quite active on recently. So check those out.
Get better faster is no, that's day 9's. What is your slogan?
Get better faster, be stronger, quicker. I don't know, man. I don't fucking know the slogan.
You need a fucking slogan, Apollo. You're fucking up.
I don't know. Watch my videos and rocket yourself away to the top of the ladder.
That fucking was terrible. Go talk to go talk to Too Good or get Similar on. He's a crafty guy. You can figure out your slogan. Major, what's going on with you, man? We didn't have you on for that long on the show. We got kind of carried away with the Slayers drama, so I apologize. But where can we find out more? Are you streaming? What's going on with you?
No, I don't have anything actually. I just play. I decided to remove my Twitter and everything like that because it's a waste of time for me.
Cool.
So I just play. But
so don't follow Root Major on Twitter?
No, it's gone.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess is the next event we'll be seeing you at the World Championships?
No. Oh, maybe MLG. No, MLG Dallas.
Oh, right. Okay, I'll see you in Dallas then. I'll see you in Dallas.
See.
And thank you for coming on, man. I apologize again for not having you on too much, but we'll definitely bring you back on if you do want to come on.
Sure,
Todd,
bro.
you got any shout-outs, man? Thank you for coming on as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Big shout out to my team. Check us out at root-gaming.com. We also have our own talk show called Decision Making, so check it out. Definitely, it's pretty interesting as well. And my Twitter is at roottodd. I post about everything I do, whether I stream. I'm going to be casting actually Saturday the NA qualifier for the Iron Squid with Scalaris. So this should be nice as well. I think it starts at 9 a.m. or in these waters, 9 a.m. PST. So that will be 12 EST, if I'm saying this right. I could be completely wrong. Well, anyway, just check it out online. I'm sure you can find some info. I will post about it on Twitter. These days, I've been getting a little bit more about doing some casting. So if you guys have any jobs to offer to me, definitely I want to try to cast some more. It's pretty interesting. And yeah, that's it.
And what time and day does Root's decision-making show come on?
Whenever Cat wants.
Oh, okay, okay. Sorry, I was trying to give you guys some love. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. So whenever Cats wants to do a decision-making show, check it out. What's the stream?
Yes.
We at least give them that. Is it
Root
Cats?
Gaming. No, Root Gaming.
No, it's on the Root Gaming channel on Twitch. But if you visit Root Gaming and you follow us on Twitter, Root for Root, you can get all the infos. We will always post in advance about who's going to be on the show and whichever.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Awesome. We'll check that stuff out. Guys, this has been State of the Game. I guess I thought it was pretty good. Let me know what you guys think in the comments on your way out. Please follow the channel. That definitely helps me out. I guess we're going to try to do this weekly. I guess we're starting to do this again. So we'll see. Look for more news on my Twitter, on the State of the Game Twitter. And we'll try to get who's going to be on the show next week. We'll be doing one. Probably won't be the same time. It was a little bit earlier. Thanks to all the subscribers. I think subscriber chat is what's going to stay here on the show. And that'll do it. I don't have any sweet music to cue me out. So we'll just see you guys next week for State of the Game. JP McDaniel signing out. Once again, Apollo, Todd, QXC, Slasher, Princess, a.k.a. Major, a.k.a.
Special.
All of his fucking other names. Doesn't have a Twitter. Don't follow him. He's the opposite of Liquid Red. We'll see you guys later. JP McDaniel and everyone else signing out.
Adios.
Adios.